Don't know what it is that made us so indifferent. We're drifting in the dark. Can we do better? Wish I could rewind back to the start. Can we do better than this? Better. You got me high, then drop me low. You got there's something I can seem to let go. You got me high, then drop me low. You got there's something I can seem to let go. To let go.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another round of the Virtual Drift Championship. This is Season 10, Round 2 here at Ruapuna Park, Layout C. My name is Craig. With me as always, Tanner. What's up?
What is going on, Craig? Happy holidays to everyone, and great to have you all back for the start, kicking off 2026 right here at Ruapuna Park. I love this track. It is so much fun, and watching the drivers practice all night and all day this morning. They only get 24 hours now. I think we're in for a treat with this one. We brought back the walls, and I love the walls.
Absolutely. We are going wall to wall in the beginning portion of the track. Let's take a look at today's line map. Entry at the top of your screen, through that chicane, down the somewhat small straight, but really throwing your car into turn one and out to the outside for clip number one at a massive wall ride, similar to our 2020 layout, layout B, with that all massive outside zone to finish the course. We've got the same wall there, maybe even a little bit longer, honestly, but we'll transition back across the course for outside zone number two, that clip two, with your first real decel. So you see there on that entry, we've just got a yellow portion on the course. We want those drivers throwing that car in, going off throttle, not really decelling the car, and then picking up throttle before that outside rumble strip ends, and then riding it all the way through and transitioning back for your first decel at clip number two, picking up that throttle, riding your next wall, and then transitioning once more for outside zone number three, that clip three, and then down to your only inside clip number four, getting around that out to 5, out to 6, out to 7 for somewhat of a manji section, but we want to see those drivers using angle to pace themselves through that course, especially at clip 7, before making your final transition across that course with your next large decel zone. We may even make that decel zone a little bit larger, but we'll see as qualifying goes on. And then picking up throttle for your last and final outside zone to finish the course. Very, very tricky entry, very tricky to stay off that wall, but also stay in that zone all the way around. It's not quite the perfect radius. Kind of reminds me of saying a stash wall, if I'm completely honest, where you set it up there, and you can't really stay matted all the way through. You can, but you got to massage the car around that outside zone to start with, and then we're going wall to wall, throwing it into the next outside zone with another wall. So group one getting their practice in, and we should be bringing our first set of drivers to the line. Is it going to be Nico? It is Nico Stelea at the line, ready to go. And Nico is off to start out round number 2 here at Ruapuna Park. Throwing that car in and just not lifting whatsoever. He said, what off throttle zone? I don't need it. Transitioning back for outside zone number 2 and planning his bumper along that wall, getting around that inside clip, filling these zones. Nico on a heater so far to start out round number 2. Definitely woke me up. On throttle, right on that track edge, and across that finish line. Goodness gracious.
Wow, Nico putting in the work over the holidays, coming out strong in the first run of 2026, 92.7. Absolutely gravy run there. Ah, that was unreal. That was
the world.
Wow. Well, let's see what Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi can do here in the Nissan 400Z. Sitting at the line, ready to go. He's gotta follow that. That's I'm sure he's got it though. Let's see what happens. Initiates in. Doing great angle, looking good onto the wall run. Through that first outer zone, beautifully done. Transitioning now, outer zone 2, next wall ride. Just stays off that wall. Transitions again through that inside clip. Yeah, Al-Shetwi here doing a wonderful job through his first qualifying run. Car looks dialed in. Little bobble there as we go into that final outer zone, but he makes it work, gets back on throttle, and finishes out the run.
He certainly did, and another heater, a little tap on that outside zone number 2 wall. Similar to Nico, but not quite as clean, and an 88.7 on the board. Sashi Yoshida at the line, ready to go. Back in the wagon. Throwing it in. Again. What off throttle zone as he continues on. Transitioning across the course. Putting that bumper right along that wall. Maybe grazing it a little bit as well. Filling that next outside zone around the inside clip. Textbook run here, just throwing at the angle as well. Last and final transition. Floats it on out there, picks up that throttle. And across that finish line, another strong run, Group 1.
I mean, these guys are looking refreshed and ready to rock today. And sometimes you need that little break. The first round hiccups get out of the way, and now it's time to dial in. Daniel Andreev sitting at the line. And a wonderful performance in round 1. Let's see if it happens again here in round 2. Initiates in. Good on the initiation. Lots of angle coming in that first outer zone. And looking good through it as he gets that car right to angle. Now for the transition. Second wall ride. Puts it on the yellow line. And holds it there through all of outer zone 2. Beautiful transition through 3 into that inside clip. Now through 4. He is flying through this course. And Daniel's looking good doing it. Final transition. Final outer zone. Right on that yellow line. Sticks it all the way through. What a clean run from Daniel.
Yeah, nicely done from Daniel.
I apologize. I didn't even say Mastrasi's score, which was a 94.7, by the way.
Yeah, number 1 qualifier as well. Daniel with a 91.3 on the board. Start his day off here for round number 2. Juanin at the line and ready to go. Back in his M2. And initiating in. Picking up throttle early and working it all the way out to that wall. Following it nicely here, filling that outside zone, coming up a little bit early. He's going to extend out, pick up throttle right along that wall as well. Good transition back where he needs to be for that inside clip. Filling that next outside zone. Good angle through there. That's the final zone, dropping a little bit of tire, a little bobble there for it. But continues on, finishes out another strong run in here for Group 1.
Yeah, Juanin with just a few things to work on for run number 2, because locking in an 84.8 for run number 1 as we move on to Steven, sitting at the line, the FDRX7. Steven Charbot initiating in, looking good into outer zone 1, really putting it in early. Making his way through outer zone 1, nice and clean. Makes the transition to outer zone 2, the second wall ride. Putting it right along the wall, having a good time doing it. Maybe left out the next outer zone a little early, but it still looks clean and good. And he is picking up speed as he comes through this little power alley, kind of spongy section into the final outer zone. Not quite to the yellow line, but makes his way there by the end of it and finishes out that run.
Yeah, another really great run nonetheless from Steven Jarbo. First run here in the Virtual Drift Championship and an 82 on the board. Russell Jones now at the line. And through the chicane. Flying down the straight. Picking up throttle early. Could be a little bit deeper for outside zone number 1 though. He dropped a little bit too much speed on that initiation. Nicely done for outside zone number 2. Transitions back. Working that car down for the inside clip and dropping just a little bit of tire there. Now, clip 7. Down into 8. And all the way out there to that track edge. And across that finish line.
Yeah, great run there from Russell Jones. Like tiny little mistakes. It kind of looked like he was hiccuping with the car, but then near the end, he really had it dialed. And he was like, all right, commitment all the time. A 90.8 on the board and a very solid first run of the course. Gets one more to do it as we have Dimitri Mitten, well, going for their first run of qualifying. Seeing what Dimitri can do here at Ruapuna. Initiates in. Lots of angle, lots of speed right up against that wall for outer zone 1. Looking great doing it. Transitioning. Outer zone 2 drops, kicks up some dirt. He was that close to the wall at the beginning. Now for the transition, goes way too wide for that inside clip. And that's going to cost him a couple points as he goes for the transition, dropping a tire, dropping 2 tires again. Got to get it settled down, lose some of that wheel speed, regain control of the car, which he does for the final outer zone. We'll see what kind of score he ends up with all those mistakes.
Yeah, some drops here and there, really affecting the score there. 78.7 on the board. All right, he has a run number 2, and we'll have to wait and see what that cutoff score is going to be. Will the other groups continue on? Jordi Lopez off for his first run here in the Virtual Drift Championship and filling outside zone number 1. Pretty good here. Continuing on, first transition, throwing that car into outside zone number 2. Good timing on that, getting down to the inside clip. Nicely done out to the track edge. A good angle here, picking up speed. Still in 7, now 8. Oh, he's moving. Picks up throttle early, works his way out to the track edge and across that finish line.
A very good run there from Jordi indeed for the first time out. Few things to work on for run number 2. Nothing too crazy. I'm amazed he caught that at the end. I thought he was going for a spin, but he caught it, made it through with an 88.2. As we come to the last driver of the first runs of qualifying, we'll go back up to the top. Victor Alves sitting at the line. And again, I love this new livery from this team here from Team Excellence. Absolutely amazing. Let's see what happens. Almost a backy into outer zone 1 here from Victor Alves. Had to really fight with the wheel, but he kept it going, kept it in the outer zone. Now for the transition to outer zone 2, he runs that wall, knocks it around a little bit, but it doesn't upset his run as he makes the transition to outer zone 3 through that inside clip, through 4, now 5. Starting to pick up that wheel speed, really chucking the angle on as he comes into this final outer zone, drops a tire, maybe only one, yes, only one, as he crosses that finish line. Now we head back up to the top for run number 2.
Yeah, nicely done from Victor Alves to save that run after that initiation, but 72 on board. Back around to Nico Stelea, 92.7 on the board. There he goes for run number 2. Initiating in. Again, just staying on throttle and planting that bumper along that outside zone number 1 wall. Good transition for 2. Staying with the momentum and staying on throttle. Good transition back around that inside clip. All the way out to that track edge. For 6 as well. Good angle for 7. Final transition and right where he needs to be. It could be a little bit further on that yellow line, but there he goes across that finish line. My goodness.
Yeah, very good second run from Nico. He's got to be happy about that one. A 95.8 puts him up to the top of qualifying so far. But we're only one group in. We still have a lot more to go today. As our next driver sitting on an 88.7, hoping to improve. Only a couple drivers getting knocked out today before those last 16 battles. So Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi off for run number 2, initiates in, looks good off the initiation, hold a nice angle, locks up a little bit of the front tire there, but still makes it work through all of outer zone 1, looking good as he drives through outer zone 2 right along that cement barrier, looking beautiful doing it, makes the transition in that outer zone, then into the inside clip, now down the Manji section, looking great for Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi here, looking dialed in for run number 2, and as I say, it drops 2 tires on that final outer zone. It might have been 3, but it only looks like 2. It all comes down to that.
Yeah, really unfortunate there in that last and final outside zone. And it's going to be a 71.5 on the board, so he'll have to stick with that 88.7. We'll have to wait and see what that cutoff score is going to be. 49 drivers showing up. Only just a few not making it into battles. We've got our last 16 qualifying battles after this. Here is Masashi throwing in the wagon. Continuing on through turn number 1. Strong transition back. Staying within those track limits and off the wall. Look at this. Out to the track edge. Good angle there for 6. Now down into 7. And throwing the car into the last and final outside zone. Masashi across that finish line.
Yoshida! Wow!
Oh my goodness.
He saw Nico take that top score and he said, absolutely not. On fire today. Masashi Yoshida lock it in a 97.8 for qualify. I think that is the highest I have ever seen Masashi score. And I hope he is just cheering in his room right now because that is an impressive run that he threw down. Wow. As we move over, sitting on a 91.3, Daniel Andreev ready to go for run number 2 of qualifying. Let's see what Daniel can throw down here after seeing Masashi's last run. Throws it into outer zone 1, looking good through outer zone 1 along that wall as he makes the transition down to outer zone 2. Goes really deep, but it sticks with it. Looks like he just tapped the wall as he comes through the next outer zone. Through that inside clip, could have been a bit deeper through outer zone 4. Now through the Monergy section, right along the yellow line there, into the final outer zone. Look at him go. Puts it down, plants the throttle, finishes out the run.
Insane. So a 91.3 already on the board, and now a 93. Throwing him in that 3rd position here in group number 1. We're back around to Wanan. 84.8 currently on the board. Gotta follow up. Find some really high scores here and throwing the car in. Looking good for outside zone number 1 so far. Transitioning for outside zone number 2 and pulling some angle out there, some understeer. Transitioning wide for inside clip. Now out to 6. Good angle down into 7. All the way out there. And a good smooth transition back. Does drop just a tiny bit. But staying on and across that finish line.
I want in there trying to improve. Doesn't improve. 81.5. Once that understeer hit in outer zone 2, it was just playing catch up and trying to get that car settled again for the rest of that run. But he will stick with that 84.8, and he's got to have a hope and a dream to stay out of the last 16 battles. We move over to Steven sitting on that 82, goes into outer zone 1, hits the wall, has to re-add the angle as it almost straightened him out. Now into outer zone 2. He's taking a more conservative approach, not going as deep into the wall as he could, trying to line himself up for outer zone 3 and 4. Now into 5, starting to look settled in this FDRX7. One more outer zone to go, and he outdrives it, leaves the zone, and tries to get back in it for the end, but that, I think he's sticking with that 82.
Yeah, it was an odd one there coming into that last and final outside zone. A 74 on the board for Steven's 2nd run. But kind of looked like he was maybe having some lag as he was crossing that finish line as well. So maybe that had something to do with it. Here's Russell Jones. Run number 2, currently sitting 4th with a 90.8 on the board and looking good, but does leave that wall just a little bit there. And outside zone number 1 transitions back. Picks up throttle, a little shallow, works it back out to the outside. Happy transition down to inside clip number 1 and drops a little bit of tire there. Down for 7 now. A snappy transition back, picking up that throttle, riding that yellow line all the way.
Russell Jones trying to improve that 90.8. Would that run be enough? We're going to wait for one more judge to lock in their score before we get a result. 85.8. So he's going to stick with that 90.8 as his high score. So we quickly move through Group 1. Dimitri Mitten at the line next, sitting on a 78.7. Gonna want to improve that. So let's see what they do. Throws it in. Looking good on the angle into outer zone 1. No mistakes, little correction as he gets to the exit. Now into outer zone 2. Riding that wall the whole way around. Lining it up, makes the transition, super snappy. Gets through that inside clip and the next outer zone. Now, starting to get on throttle, flying through the course. Right angle in all these outer zones, keeping it on that yellow line. Thought he was going to drop the tire, but he didn't cross that line. I think that's going to improve that 78.
Oh, yeah. No way it doesn't. 78.7 currently on the board. Much cleaner this time around at an 87.8. Back around to Jordy. Jordy Lopez currently 6th so far with an 88.2 here in group number 1. Second run here in the Virtual Drift Championship. And he puts his bumper along that outside zone number 1 wall. Transitions back. Nicely done, working it out to the outside. Snappy transition around that inside clip and down to outside zone number 4. Pacing himself through this section. And final transition. Picking up that throw and working it out to that yellow line. Finishing out his second run.
Jordy Lopez wanting to improve on the 88.2, and he just might be able to do it. A great solid run, though, for his first time here in the Virtual Drift Championship. Locks in a 90.8 for qualifying. That 88.2 going to be a tiebreaker if anybody else matches that. Now, our last run of Group 1. Before we get Group 2 in here and do it all over again. Victor Alves sitting on a 72. Lots of mistakes the first time out. Let's see if he improves. Kind of taking a conservative approach, staying mid, not really getting close to that wall, but still putting the points on the board. Now he goes for it a little bit, puts that wing over the wall through outer zone 2, makes the transition work through outer zone 3 into 4 through the inside clip. Now through the power section, looking good. Now Victor Alves looking dialed in, drops a tire, but quickly gets it back up on the pavement, finishes out the run. That should beat that 72.
Yeah, I came in a little hot for that last and final outside zone. A little wide, a little fast, and a 73.8 on the board. That's going to do it for group number 1. And Masashi Yoshida on top with a 97.8. Nico Stelea coming out swinging as well in the RTR, 95.8. And Daniel Andreev currently in that top 3 with a 93 on the board as we load in group number 2.
Well, back with Group 2. They finished their practice, and now we top it out with Braden Swan, who's sitting at the line. And if we look back to Group 1 with Masashi Yoshida coming out swinging with that 97.8, that's now the score to beat. Let's see what Group number 2 has in store. Braden Swan initiates in. Looking good off the initiation, trying to keep it as close to that wall as he can. He's not quite on it, but a good first run. You don't want to go too crazy in qualifying and throw it all away. Through outer zone 2, gets way closer to the wall as he makes the transition a little late for outer zone 3, but makes up for it through that inside clip in outer zone 4. Now through outer zone 5, the transition into 6, looking good for Braden Swan. Throws it into that last outer zone, off that limiter, on the yellow line, and across the line to finish out his first run of qualifying.
Yeah, good job from Braden Swan. Start out group number 2. The 90.5 on the board. That's going to put him in 6th position. Marcus joining us again here for round number 2. And initiating in backwards and into the wall. The wall claiming our first unfortunate victim. So that's going to be it for Marcus's first run. But that's all right. He has a second run ahead of him.
Oh, poor Marcus. Just throwing it in a little too hard. Getting into that dirt and just right into that concrete barrier. And that sadly happened. As Craig, I'm going to need you to take this one. I need to do a restart.
That's all right, Tanner. Allen back to the line. It is Heinze, Team Heinze, RTR Mustang. Through the chicane and initiating in. Staying on throttle. These drivers just choosing to stay on throttle here is wild to me as Allen transitions back for zone number 2. Works his way out to that wall. Second transition down across that inside clip, all the way out to the track edge and up. Flip 6 now down into 7 with all the angle there. Final transition, nice and clean, picking up that throttle and along that track edge and finishing out run number 1. And a 97.7 on the board for Allen Heinze. We move on to Lucas Pasquini. We'll put Allen in the 2nd position just behind Masashi Yoshida. And ahead of teammate Nico Stelea, here goes Lucas. Initiating in, and look at there. Playing it along the wall, leaves it just a little bit. Easy to do in that section of the wall as he transitions back and throws it into wall number 2. Good second transition around that inside clip. Little tiny bobble there. Good angle for 6. Now down into 7, almost 90 there. He transitions back almost backwards, picking up that throttle, keeping it as smooth as he can, and finishing out his first run. And a good score on the board, a 92.2 for Pasquini. That'll put him in 5th position here in group number 2. Here's Luciano Canedo. Initiating in, nice and clean, massaging the throttle for outside zone number 1. Now he's hammered down, working his way through. Good transition, tons of speed, bounces it off the wall just ever so slightly. Snappy transition, but he's going to go a little wide of that inside clip. Grabs that next outside zone, and he's flying here through this section of the course and into the final outside zone. And there he goes across that finish line. Nicely done from Luciano.
Yeah, Luciano really throwing it in there now that we're all back and good to go on my end. An 88 for Luciano's first run. I'm amazed he kept it on track through outer zone 8 there. As we have Vitaly Azeev at the line, ready to go for his first run of qualifying. We'll see what Vitaly can throw down here. Initiating in, looking good off of the initiation, trying to get it all the way out to that wall. Manages to stay on it through outer zone 1, now into outer zone 2, the second wall ride, puts it right into the wall, gives it a little tap before making that transition through outer zone 3 in that inside clip, now to outer zone 4 along that track edge. Looking good for Vitaly's first run here. Makes the final transition into that final outer zone's got to get it slowed down, and he makes it work and pushes through and finishes out his first run.
Yeah, nicely done. I thought he was done for in outside zone number 2. Burying his car into that wall. We do give a little bit of extra room with the colliders and a 92.5 on the board. William Holloway. Ready to go for his first run here for round number 2. And in a brand new chassis. Leaving the RX-7. And initiating in. Nicely done for outside zone number 1. Putting that bumper right along the wall. Transitions back. Nice and smooth from Will so far. Works his way through outside zone number 2. Good transition. Up into 6. Good angle for 7. And almost backwards as he picks up that throttle for 8. And continues on. Strong run from Will.
Will putting in the work there with the new chassis, and it looks like it's proving good for him as the scores start to trickle in, and an 89.2 for run number 1. So that's not too shabby at all. We move over to Liam Akihiko. Second round now ever of the VDC. Ready to see what he can do here at Ruapuna Park. Initiates in. Looks good off the initiation right along that yellow line as he tries to really work it out to the wall, kind of slowly adding angle as he goes around that first outer zone, now into outer zone 2. Nicely done, just keeping it a good distance away from that wall. Don't want to set anything too crazy as he comes through outer zone 4, now through 5. Starting to really pour on the speed, pour on the angle. Final outer zone, gets it slowed down, a bobble though, as he tries to recorrect, keeping it on the line, and throttles through to that finish.
A solid run from Liam there. We wait on that score to come through. And a solid 90 on the board for Liam. We've got Cameron Mustard now at the line ready to go. And initiating in and looking good here along outside zone number 1. Right along that wall all the way around. Very smooth with his transition into outside zone number 2, using all the momentum. Staying on throttle, leaves 3 just a little bit soon, has to work his way around that inside clip. Picking up that throttle, working his way around now. Cameron Mustard finishing out.
Cameron Mustard with a couple of mistakes there in his first run of qualifying. He's going to have to make up for it in run number 2. 79.2 on the board for him as we come to our last driver of Group 2 before we go back up to the top and do it all again. Steven Hatcher, switching chassis for this year and really putting in the work. Looked great in round 1. Let's see what round 2 has in store. Kind of a midline for him through outer zone 1, really shaky as he comes into outer zone 2. Let's see if he can make up for it. Slowly pushes out to that outer edge of the track, gets that wall, makes the transition work, but a little wide for the inside clip, and losing a bit of angle going through outer zone 5, now through 6 and 7. Looking good, starting to settle in with the car. One last outer zone to go, puts it on that yellow line. Steven Hatcher finishes out his first run of qualifying.
Yeah, nicely done from Steven. I think Steven looking very confident, just mistakes here and there, got to clean up. We'll end up with that 73 on the board. Back around to Braden Swan. Braden throwing the 370 in. And staying on the wall for outside zone number 1. Nicely done for 2 as well. Braden turning up for run number 2, a little bit wider than where the judges want him for inside clip. Down through 7 now. And stuffing the throttle through the floor as he crosses that finish line.
Wow, Braden Swan going on the attack there for run number 2 and making it look good, wanting to improve that 90.5 that he's already sitting on. But would a 90.5 be enough? He says, well, I don't care. Pulls off a 91.8 for run number 2. So that'll be a good little tiebreaker score. Now, our only driver so far sitting on a 0, Marcus, Mr. Pink Drifter. Trying to get a good run in. Let's see what happens. Run number 2 really throws it in that S13 of his. He gets it through outer zone 1, leaves it a little bit, but then slowly makes his way back to the wall. Now the transition into outer zone 2 just touches the wall as he starts to drive away from it a little bit early, but makes it through outer zone 3 and nicely done through the inside clip. Left some room on outer zone 4, makes it through 5 and 6 with just a little bit of room to spare. But when you're sitting on a 0, you just don't want it to go wrong as he drops a little tire, but still gets points on the board for run number 2.
Yeah, gets through it anyway with the pressure on. We wait on the score for Marcus. And an 81.2 on the board for Marcus Longfist. Alan Hines back at the line, ready to go. Currently sitting second, just behind Masashi. And he better it. He works his way through outside zone number 1. Big transition, picking up that throttle. And out for outside zone number 6, down to 7, all the way out to the track edge, nice and clean. Final transition as well. Staying within that dotted line out there across that finish line. Nicely done from Alan Hines, but is that enough to better the 97.7?
Really going for it. He wants that top spot, and he comes shy. 96.7. He'll stick with second place, that 97.7. So close, yet so far. Lucas Pasquini, the line now, 92.2 in that E90 BMW. Lights go on. Let's see what run number 2 has in store. Initiates in. Looks good off the initiation, right up to that yellow line along outer zone 1. Nice smooth angle. Now for the transition to outer zone 2. Puts it nicely on the wall, just gives it a little kiss as he leaves outer zone 2 and makes that quick transition through outer zone 3 into that inside clip. Now through outer zone 4, makes the transition through 5 look good. Then into 6, and it's all looking good here. One more outer zone to go. Maybe a little bobble there as he got back on throttle, but nothing too crazy. Finishes out the run.
Yeah, another strong run for Pasquini, but falling a little shy at 91.5 on the board. Still a strong score indeed, so he'll stay in 6th position here in group number 2, 92.2, as we move to Luciano. 88 currently on the board. Borrowing the Public Z. The new 6.0 data that will be out later. Not today, but later indeed, as he picks up throttle for outside zone number 2. Versus bumper along that wall, going maybe just a tiny bit wide of inside where those judges want him. Nicely done for 7. And picking up that throttle, but stalls it just a tiny bit. Does get across that finish line to complete the run. Will it be enough to better the 88?
Yeah, really had to back out of the throttle there into that final outer zone, and that could really hurt his score. An 86 on the board, so he's going to keep that high score of the 88 from run number 1. Sitting on a 92.5, though, the man at the line, Vitaly Azayev, ready to see if he can improve run number 2. Throws it in and looks good through outer zone 1. Nice angle and speed through the whole section as he comes through into outer zone 2 now. Puts it right up onto the wall. Now drives it towards outer zone 3. Into that inside clip. Just a little wide of it. Nothing crazy. Maybe just a hair as he comes through outer zone 4 and 5 and 6 now. Looking good. One more to go. It's all down to this. Almost looked like he was going to drop a tire. Gets back on the throttle and gets through the course and finishes it out.
Yeah, nicely done to save it there in that last and final outside zone. 94.8 on the board as well. We work our way back to William Holloway. $89.2 currently on the board. Just outside of that top 8. Here for group number 2 as he tosses that car in, picks up that throttle, works it around outside zone number 1. He continues on. Using all of that track edge. Good transition back. Jumps out of the edge of the track there just a little bit, but works it right back to the wall. Nicely done for inside clip. Transition's hard for outside zone number 7 as well. Flip 7. Jumping back on throttle. And finishing out a solid run. Is it better than that 89.2?
Oh, it definitely has to be. I mean, that was a great second run there from William Holloway. Really just kind of getting comfortable with that chassis. And he does a 90.3 up on the board for William Holloway. So not bad. Right after changing chassis, too. Good man. Now, Liam Akihiko, 90 on the board. Can they improve? We'll find out here for the last run of qualifying. Initiates in. Looking good off the initiation. About midway through that outer zone. Slowly working his way out all the way to the wall. Now to make that transition down to outer zone 2. A little bobble there through outer zone 2. But he makes it work. Sticks it back on the wall. Makes the transition through that inside clip happen nicely as well. Left a bit of room at the table on outer zone 4. But now we're through 5 and 6 already. And now into outer zone 7. Gets it slowed down enough. Gets it on the yellow line. Applies the throttle. And finishes out qualifying.
Yeah, nicely done. Trying to better the 90. And falls just slightly shy. 87.7 on the board. So he'll hang on to that 90 as we move along to Cameron Mustard. 79.2 on the board. And he better it. Big angle as he initiates. Has to get on that left foot brake to hold it in that beginning portion of outside zone number 1 as he transitions for 2. My goodness gracious. Burying the bumper into the wall. Continues on through that inside clip, filling outside zone 5, 6, and now down into 7. Big angle for 7. Final transition. Picking up that throttle nice and smooth with it. He works it back out to that track edge and across that finish line.
A big improvement for Cameron Mustard on run number 2, locking in an 86.7 for his high score. Another driver in the 70s making their way into the 80s. Now for the final run of Group 2, Stephen Hatcher sitting on a 73. Didn't have the greatest of first runs. Let's see if he can make up for it. Gets on throttle, trying to make his way out to that track edge through outer zone 1. He gets there by the end of it. Now the transition into outer zone 2. Gets it right along the wall this time, near the end of the outer zone. Makes the transition work, a little wide for the inside clip, just by a little bit. Now through outer zone 4 and 5 and 6, leaving lots of room on the table for 6. Bringing it into outer zone 7. Making it work and driving across the line. And that should improve, hopefully, on that 73.
Yeah, I think so. As we wait on that final score, Stephen off into the grass there, trying to drive back. And an 88.5 on the board, so that does move him into the current top 16. But again, Masashi Yoshida, 97.8 on the board. Your number one qualifying position so far after 2 groups of qualifying. Alan Hines in second and Nico Stalea in third. Here is where we'll take a small break. We've got to restart our server to get our next group of drivers up. So we'll hear from our awesome sponsors, and we'll be right back with more qualifying.
Mastermind, never tried. Tell them all. Big dreams, I got big dreams, just like baby. I've been joining forces with the likes of an A-team. Jumping off of buildings used to be so stimulating. Now I'm reaching new heights. I'ma leave the arsenal.
All right, and we are back with our next set of qualifying groups, Group 3 and Group 4, Group 5 as well. We've got 50 drivers. Thought we had 49, we've got 50. So that does mean 6 drivers will not be making it into qualifying later on, battles later on today and tomorrow. We've got our last 16 qualifying battles coming up just after qualifying, and then our top 32 main event tomorrow. But up next, Group 3, we've got Robert Kipsinski at the line ready to go. And off and through the chicane, initiating in, staying on throttle, look at there. Robert planning along that wall for outside zone number 1. Transitions back, tons of speed. He enters outside zone number 2. Clip 3 now around that inside clip number 4. Ooh, and dropping a tire on 6, now down into 7. Good angle there. He transitions back, but kind of steps through that transition. Crossing that finish line. Strong run nonetheless.
Yeah, Robert there just, I think that tire drop shook up his run, and he just was like, I got to save this and get through it. 87.5 on the board for the first run of Group 3 as we move over to Brett Wolford in the RTR Team Heinze Mustang. Let's see what they can do for their first run of qualifying. Initiates in, looking good off the initiation, right along that wall as they come through outer zone 1. Transitioning down to outer zone 2 now, putting it almost on the wall. It comes through that transition, almost transitioning late into outer zone 3, but gets through that transition and the inside clip now for outer zone 4, 5, and 6. Looking good so far, one more to go. Oh, has a huge hesitation getting back on throttle, had to kind of drive into it and out of it, but makes it work and finishes out the run.
Yeah, another strong run to start out group number 2. 88.3 on the board for Brett Wolford. Linus Dorfus through the chicane and off for his first run here in round number 2. Initiating in pretty early, makes it work. He works his way around outside zone to number 1 around that wall. My goodness. Ooh, transition back. Landed into the zone. Snappy on that second transition around that inside clip. Filling these next set of outside zones. Down across 7, but dropping just a little bit of tire there. A little late on that transition, picking up that throttle. Or clip 8 and then finishing out his first run.
Yeah, not a bad first run from Linus. Obviously, that tire drop, that's going to hurt the score, and that might have upset him a little bit in that final outer zone. 82.3, but still has another run to make up for it. David Laxco at the line. Ready to go for their first run of qualifying in the VDC. Initiates in, looking good off the initiation. A little bobble as he came into outer zone 1, but sticks with it all the way along the wall as he leaves outer zone 1. Transitioning now into outer zone 2. Nicely on the yellow line as we go down to outer zone 3. Does it nicely, gets that inside clip, and fills all of outer zone 4 and 5. Now into 6, good transition. Looking good so far here for David's first run. Puts it on that yellow line. Maybe just dropped a tire, just enough to kick up some dirt. Crosses the line and gets his first run of qualifying in.
Yeah, nicely done from David. And look at there, a strong score indeed, 94.3. That's going to put him in 5th position for his first run in the Virtual Drift Championship. Darius Ostraka back with us for round number 2. Off for his first run. Good initiation as he works it out to the outside. That first zone. I'll clip number 2 along that wall. Could have been a little bit deeper. He continues on. Picking up that speed through this section of the course, filling 7. Strong transition back, nice and smooth as he picks up that throttle. And a good strong run from Darius.
Yeah, Darius really putting in the effort there for run number 1, and 90.5 on the board. So another driver's yet into the 90s. We now have at the line Zach O'Sullivan in that E36 BMW. Ready to go for qualifying. A previous VDC champion. Let's see what he can do. Throws it in to outer zone 1. looking good through outer zone 1, matted with the throttle. Now into outer zone 2, right along that yellow line, and I don't think I've seen him lift yet as he comes through outer zone 3, beautifully done through the inside clip, now into outside zone 4 and 5, just nicely controlling the car through these transitions. It's looking gorgeous. It comes down to this final outer zone right along that track edge. Throttle still planted. Zach O'Sullivan.
Amazing first run there and a strong score at 96.7 on the board. That's going to put him in third. Now Ethan Bittercow. Ethan Pikachu initiating in and working his way through outside zone number 1, hanging the wing over the wall. And a good transition back, extends out, but could be a little bit deeper there at the beginning of outside zone number 2. Nice and snappy for that next transition around the inside clip, all the way back out to these track edges, and a ton of angle for 6, ton of angle for 7 as well, pacing itself through that course and picking up throttle along the track edge. Ethan across that finish line.
I don't know how Ethan didn't kick up dirt there on outer zone 7. But he made it work. 86.5 on the board, so a few things to work on for run number 2 as we move over to Austin Mitchell. Or Victor Lacheris, my apologies. I was looking at the wrong thing on the sheet. Initiating in, looking good through outer zone 1 so far in that Lexus. Beautiful car coming into outer zone 2. Big bobble into outer zone 2. Had to back out of it and regain it as he comes through outer zone 3. Now getting through outer zone 4. Makes the transition into 5. Leaves a bit of room on the table for 5, but making up for it through outer zone 6. Now the final drive into that final outer zone. Gets on throttle, keeps the angle locked, and crosses the line.
Yeah, a few things to clean up for his next run. We'll wait and see what the score will be. And a low 64. We wait on our next driver to come to the line.
That would be Austin Mitchell.
It is indeed Austin Mitchell. Back to the future. As the semaphore has done the thing again and disappeared. Austin Mitchell initiating in. And using a lot of left foot brake to try and get that car back sideways in outside zone number 1 just after initiation. Little safe there for outside zone number 2 as well as he works his way around that inner clip. Now, flip 6 down into 7. Good angle. Final transition, nice and clean into outside zone. Number 8 to finish the course. Mitchell, so a couple of things to work out here and there.
Yeah, a couple things, but a great first run indeed, just to kind of get those qualifying nerves out of the way. You know, you're up with all the big guys, and 84 is still a very good score. Daryl Diaz. He'll be our last driver here of Group 3 for the first set of qualifying runs before we go back up to the top with Robert Kavinsky for run number 2. Daryl Diaz initiating in. Looking good off the initiation. Maybe losing a little too much speed, though, when driving away from that wall. Really having to work to try and get back up to that track edge for outer zone 1. Nails it, though, for outer zone 2. Looking good. Throws that FD through outer zone 3 in that inside clip, leaving a bit of room for outer zone 4. Makes up for it in outer zone 5. Throws it again through outer zone 6. Carrying tons of speed. Can he get it slowed down? Final outer zone. Gets back on throttle. Holds the angle. Crosses the line. We'll see what kind of score he put down there.
Yeah, good to see Daryl back in an 82.2 on the board as we go back around. Robert Kavinsky back at the line. Ready to go for run number 2. We've got 30 scores on the board so far. Goes Robert, 87.5 currently on that board. He flies into outside zone number 1 and all the way out there along that wall. Good transition back, nice and smooth, picking up that throttle. Nice and snappy on that next one, a little wide for that inside clip, but stays within those track limits. Down across 7. And a safe transition back for 8, works it back out to that yellow line, and there he goes, finishing out run number 2.
So an 87.3 to finish off Robert's runs. Going to keep that high score of an 87.5. We move over to Brett Wolford, sitting on that 88.3, probably wanting to improve. Let's see what happens here. The lights go on. His second run of qualifying is underway down the straight. Going to grab the gears and initiate in. Looking good off the initiation. Good angle into the first outer zone. He's going to try to work its way out to the wall, which he manages to do just at the end. Now the transition into outer zone 2. Nails outer zone 2. Looking good. Through the transition of 3. Almost late, but a snappy transition to get through that inside clip in outer zone 4. Now through 5 and 6. Leaving a little bit of room on the table there through outer zone 5 and 6. But nails it for outer zone 8. Just right before that yellow line. Looking good for Brett Wolford.
Yeah, nicely done. Really snappy on that second transition. I think it set him up nicely for that inside clip as well, though. Let's see. Yeah, 92.3 on the board, so it does better the 88.3 that he previously had, moving him into that top 8 here in group number 3. Linus now ready to go for his second run. 82.3 currently on the board. Any better here. And good for turn number 1. Filling that zone all the way around it. Nice and smooth on his transition. Nicely done for outside zone number 2. Nappy for that inside clip. A ton of angle across 7. This is looking good so far. Last and final outside zone. Tiny little bobble. He continues on. Is it enough?
You know, it was a solid run there from Linus, and I think it is going to be enough. It definitely is. 92.2 over that 82.3, so almost a 10-point jump. Absolutely good second run from Linus. Now, over to David Laxko. Sitting already on a 94.3 for his first run of qualifying. Let's see what run number 2 has in store. Throws it in, bobble there as near the front of the outer zone, but quickly cleans it up, keeps it glued to that wall through outer zone 1. Now absolutely nailing 2, riding that wall the whole way through, grabbing that inside clip beautifully, nailed 3 and 4. And wow, David on a tear here as he comes through outer zone 6. 1 more to go. And it's been a great run. Drops a little bit of tire. But what a run from David Laxko. I'd be happy about that one.
Yeah, I've heard some good things about David and his driving. And yeah, I think it showed here today so far. 94.3 he'll stay with, as run number 2 is a 91.2. But a strong run indeed as we go back around to Darius Ostraka for his second run. 90.5 currently on that board. And sitting 14th. Working his way through outside zone number 1 now. Good transition. All the momentum into outside zone number 2. Putting his bumper in that wall. Continuing on around that inside clip. All the way to the track edge. Almost dropping a tire there. And down into 7. Keeping it on track once more. Picking up that throttle. Nicely done. Across that finish line.
Darius Ostraka trying to beat that 90.5, doesn't quite make it there. 88.3, but a good tiebreaker score. Now sitting on a 96.7. Wanting to take first place, Zach O'Sullivan in the E36 BMW, throwing it in. Previous VDC champion and looking great off that initiation through outer zone 1. Almost textbook through there as he comes into the transition for outer zone 2. Puts it right to the track edge. Now the transition to outer zone 3 and inside clip done beautifully. filling all of outer zone 4, transitioning nicely to outer zone 5. Now in outer zone 6, looking clean. One more to go. Locks in the angle, gets on the throttle, stays on that yellow line, drives it past the finish line to finish out his second run of qualifying. Wow, what a run.
Yeah, going after it there and comes up just a little shy. He ties Alan Hines with a 97.7. My goodness. 0.1 shy of Masashi Yoshida's score of a 97.8. We've got Ethan back at the line to follow that up. Sitting on an 86.5. Is she hitting in? Looking good, but needs to work it back out to that outside. Little shallow in the beginning portion of outside zone number 1. Transitions back, and my goodness, super deep. I don't know how he did it. Carried into the wall there. Even dropped maybe a little bit of tire. It is tapering out to be a little bit friendly. He continues on now. We're on the angle for 7. Trying to pace that car through, picking up that throttle. Ooh, and just barely keeps it on the track.
Yeah, Ethan seems to be fighting the car a lot today. Had an 86.5 run number 1, 79 for run number 2. So he's going to keep that 86.5. So we'll probably see him later on today in those last 16 battles. Now, Victor Lacheris. Off for run number 2, sitting on a 64. Needs to improve. Only 5 drivers go home today, and you don't want it to be you. Doing a great job through outer zone 1, really keeping it along that wall. And now looking way better through outer zone 2. Makes it through 3 into that inside clip, filling all of outer zone 4. Now into outer zone 6. And that final drive in outer zone 7. Looking good, keeping it on that yellow line. It looks like a better run, but it did look a little slow.
Yeah, it seems like he's having a tough time getting that car to rotate as well for each transition. And yeah, it's going to be a 73.3 on the board. So we'll have to wait and see what that cutoff score is going to be. Moving on into the last and final set of groups. There's 2 drivers remaining here in group number 3. Here's Austin Mitchell for his second run. Currently on the 84. Initiating in all the way out to that wall. Looking better so far through turn number 1. Big transition across for outside zone number 2. Nicely done. Much better once more. He transitions back a little bit wide than what the judges want. That's all right. He continues on. Big angle for 6. Big angle for 7 as well. He transitions across for 8. Picking up that throttle. Oh my goodness. And across that finish line.
Austin Mitchell really trying to improve on that 84. I think he will do it, and he does. A 90 on the board, and that's a great first showing for qualifying here in the VDC. So we move over to our last driver of Group 3, Daryl Diaz, sitting at the line. Well, now he's already down the straight, ready to go, sitting on an 82.2. Can he improve? Throws that FD into outer zone 1, leaving quite a bit of room on the table. Makes his way back out to that outer edge, right near the end of outer zone 1, doing a great job through outer zone 2. Now the quick transition through outer zone 3, grabs that inside clip, but leaves a lot of room there for outer zone 4. Now through 5 and 6, throwing in the big angle, not quite getting to those track edges, but for the final outer zone, drops a little bit of tire like we've seen the last few drivers do right at the last second.
Yeah, will it be enough though? It just barely 82.7 on the board for Daryl Diaz as we now load in our next group of drivers. We'll take a look at our current top 8. Masashi Yoshida still number 1, 97.8. Alan Hines to follow in that second position. with that 97.7. Zach as well with his 97.7. We'll double check and see who is in that second and third position. Nico right there with him as well with a 95.8. Vitaly with his 94.8. David Lasko 94.3. Daniel Andreev with his 93, and Brett Wolford with the 92.3. Oh, we'll get a refresh on this page. It should give us all those current scores. There we go. Get a couple of people asking, so we'll ignore the top of our screen right now. We just turn that up just a tiny bit. All right, should be a last call for those drivers to get their last set of practice runs in before we send them for group number 4. There we go. Been experiencing a little issues with the semaphore just disappearing after a while. We'll have to check our settings, but maybe we figured it out. We'll have to see. So if you've never seen the semaphore before, it is a drivable car essentially. And it's those lights through CSP make the whole thing work. Yep, so this should be our first driver for group number 4, Nick Hang. Running to us, I think, the most unique car in the series currently. He's off for his first run. And initiating in, looking good here. Leaves the wall just a tiny bit, but gets right back out there, dropping a little bit of tire before making that transition across the course. Filling outside zone number 2 though. 3 as well, nice and snappy around that inside clip. Nicely done so far here through the course. Flying. Big transition, picking up that throttle. Oh, stalls it a little bit, drops a tiny little bit of tire, but he does finish it out.
Nick hanging it all out there, making sure landscaping is done properly out on the track. Ending out with an 87.3 for the first run of qualifying with that many mistakes. If he cleans that up, that's going to be a high score. Moving over to Yaroslav Veseleo, initiating in. Looking good off of that initiation, right along the wall, all the way through it as he comes out and transitions into outer zone 2. And again, right on that track edge, right up against the wall, makes the transition for outside zone 3 into that inside clip into outer zone 4. Could have been a bit deeper into outer zone 4. Now through 5 and 6. Looking great through outer zone 5 and 6. He hung on to that angle for a long time before transitioning into the final outer zone. That might have hurt him just a little bit as he finishes out the run.
Yeah, it will be docked on a score there. We wait on it. Our 3 judges. Chris, Ed, and Carl. 89.8 on the board. And we've got Horthen in the background with us this afternoon, helping out with the live stream. And doing a fantastic job, Horthen. You're killing it. We move along. Maxime Tingai. And he's off through the chicane, nice and clean. And entering with some speed along the wall. And ooh, just doesn't quite keep it together. Gives it a tap, continues on. Transitions back, nicely done, filling outside zone number 2. Happy transition. 4-3, down across 4. Oh, dropping a little bit of tire there. Final transition. Hooking up that throttle, goes a little bit backwards, but hangs onto it.
Maxime, up late practicing, as I saw last night, and a lot of mistakes, but nothing that can't be fixed for run number 2 to make that a very solid run. 79.2 on the board for now, but we'll see what happens in run number 2. Ernestus Eukulibus now at the line, ready for their first run of qualifying. See what they can do. Here we go with run number 1, initiating in, right out to that track edge, really deep into the wall. Almost looking like what Maxime had there, but makes it work this time. Now on to the yellow line there for outer zone 2, maybe driving off it a little early. It's quick transition through outer zone 3 into that inside clip, filling outer zone 4. Now into 5 and 6. Looking good through outer zone 5 and 6. One final outer zone, kind of checks up just a little bit and drives into it, manages to get on throttle and finishing out that run.
And a 77.3 on the board. We wait for Samuel Cuddy to come to the line. Well, it looks like we're gonna keep on over Mr. Samuel. And around to Oliver Eppinger. And Oliver throwing the super in. Big angle, does leave the wall just ever so slightly there. Works it back out to that track edge. Huge angle for outside zone number 2 as well. And snappy, but wide for inside clip number 1. Continues on. That's the final transition. Oh, and he's gonna go wide. Drives it back onto the course and finishes it out.
Eppinger having a pretty solid run there, and then it all fell away from him on that last outer zone. A 75.3 on the board for run number 1. So we'll move over to Daniel Mora. Daniel Mora leaves the line, ready to start his first run of qualifying. Let's see what he can do in the E30 BMW. Throwing it in, keeping it way up onto the wall, maybe coming off it just a little bit, but making his way back out there by the end of outer zone 1. Now the transition to outer zone 2 slowly makes his way to the edge of that wall, but he gets there through outer zone 3 in that inside clip, not leaving a lot of room there in outer zone 4. Could have filled it more. Same with 5, 6 as well. Final transition. Very conservative run here for Daniel Murrah. Gets it to that yellow line by the end of the final outer zone and finishes out the run.
And Lucky Stebbins on the board, 77.7. That'll put him in 32nd position. Well, again, we'll have to wait and see what that cutoff score is going to be. 6 drivers not making it into battles. We move along to Brandon Gardner, throwing his E36 into outside zone number 1. Continuing on, nice and smooth. He leaves it. Transitions into 2, picking up that throttle quickly. And all the way out to that track edge. Continuing on here is Brandon Gardner. Final transition. All the way out to that yellow line. Nicely done from Brandon.
Yeah, BG Brandon Gardner there putting down a great run. 93.8 in that Boundless Racing E36. Now we'll move over to Kevin Stump. In the S15, sitting at the line, lights go on, here we go. Initiating in for Kevin Stump, looking good off the initiation into Outer Zone 1, comes off that wall just a bit, makes his way back out there by the end of Outer Zone 1. Now the transition down to Outer Zone 2, a big bobble through Outer Zone 2, makes the correction and keeps it on track. Now through Outer Zone 3, that inside clip in 4, off of 4 just a little bit. Still had some yellow line to go as he comes through 5 and 6 now, leaving a lot of room at 6. Into the final outer zone. To plant it on the yellow line through the final outer zone and crosses it to finish out his first run.
Not too bad from Kevin Stump, and 85.5 on the board. Olivier. Offer his first run of the day here and throwing that E36 in. Big angle, leaving that little tiny portion of the wall. Very easy to do there as it changes shape. Olivier, continue on. Filling 2. Now 3, down across that inside clip. Out to 6. Snappy transition for 7. He hold it together here for the last and final outside zone. Small little bobble there, works it back out to the track edge and finishes out his first run of the day.
Yeah, Olivier getting a 91.7 there for our final driver of group number 4 as we go back up to the top. Nick Hang sitting on an 87.3. Oh, right. We're going to do Samuel Cuddy. We can't forget Samuel Cuddy. In the E46, ready to go. Samuel Cuddy off for the first run of qualifying, and then we go back up to the top with Nick Hang. Initiating in, looking all right here for Samuel Cuddy. Little bobbling left and right, but makes it work through Outer Zone 1. Now into Outer Zone 2, really tries to get it up onto that wall. It's a quick transition into Outer Zone 3, a little wide for the inside clip, but grabs all of Outer Zone 4. Now through 5 and 6. Can't believe he didn't drop a tire leaving 6. He's carrying a lot of speed into the final Outer Zone, but he stays on throttle and gets good points on the board.
Yeah, nicely done. I think he got into the server maybe just a little bit late is why we came back around to Sammy, or having some technical difficulties, but he makes it work. 88.8 on that board. As now we go back around to Nick Hang. Run number 2 here for Group 4. $87.3 currently on the board. Any better here? Run number 2, looking good so far. Lots of momentum into outside zone number 2. Nice and clean from Nick Hang. Even to around 4 or 5. Now up into 6. I'm into 7. Big angle there. Transition across, nice and clean from him, picking up that throttle. And across that finish line, Nick Hang trying to better the 87.3.
Yeah, definitely trying to beat it. I think he will. That looks like a way better run than run number 1, and it does. Up to into the 90s, 91.3 on the board. Now back to Yaroslav, sitting on an 89.8. Other driver wanting to improve, I think almost everyone, but 2 people in this group want to improve these scores. Lights go on, and off he goes, initiating in. Looking good on the initiation, maybe a little bobble as he came into outer zone 1, but he makes up for it, gets right to that track edge. Now the transition down to outer zone 2, puts that tire on the line. Now to get it through outer zone 3, quick transition through that inside clip, drive it all the way to the exit of 4. Does get there, doesn't fill the line completely, but now makes up for it through outer zone 5 and 6. Final transition, final outer zone. Slept on it just a little bit, but grabs throttle and finishes out the run.
Nicely done from Yaroslav, trying to better the 89.8. And a 90.8 he does by exactly 1 point. We work our way back around. Maxime, ready to go at the line. His E36, 79.2 currently on the board. Might want to better as we have 6 drivers not making it into battles. Looking good so far through outside zone number 1. Big transition across. Staying on throttle. Transition number 2 around that inside clip. Ooh, and dropping just a tiny bit of tire. On 5 through 7. Big transition across. Nice and smooth. And across that finish line, so just a tiny little tire drop. Really, a couple of things here and there.
Yeah, Maxime, that was what he wanted run number 1 to be before going into that wall, and now cracking off a 95. And that had the opportunities to be even higher. So very good job for Maxime. He'll be moving all the way up on that line. So now we move over to Ernestus Ukulibis, sitting on a 77.3, another driver desperately wanting to improve, looking good off the initiation through outer zone 1, keeps it nice and solid, transitioning down to outer zone 2, puts it right on the yellow line. Now transitioning through 3 into that inside clip, good job filling all of outer zone 4. Now into outer zone 5 and 6, quick transition, lots of angle, 1 more to go, outer zone 7, puts it on the line. He drops a little bit of tire. There it is, right at the end, but he finishes out his run.
Yeah, it's a tough course to get right all the way through it. And a 90.3 on the board. All right, so back to Oliver Eppinger, sitting on that 75.3, currently in 38th. From 28 through 44 will find their way into last 16 qualifying battles right here after qualifying. Oliver trying to keep himself out of that and into the top 32 main event tomorrow. Good transition for outside zone number 3. Up across 7. Big angle there before transitioning into 8, picking up throttle a little bit shallow there in the beginning portion of it, but continuing on should be better than that 75.3.
Well, he's the first driver I've seen kick up dirt in outer zone 2 there. I thought he was going into the wall, and it somehow kept it together. Ends out with a 91.8. That is way better than the 75.3 he was on. Next driver to the line, Daniel Mura, 77.7. Lucky 7s across the board, but it's not lucky right now. He needs to improve. Throws that E30 into outer zone 1, looking way better now in outer zone 1. Way more into the zone, filling it out nicely. Transitioning now into outer zone 2, puts it on the yellow line by the end. Looking good for Daniel Mura so far in the first half of this course. Now leaving a lot of room on the table there for outer zone 4. Fills all of 5. almost fills all of 6. One more transition, one more chance and opportunity to improve that score. He gets on throttle. It looks like a way better run than that 77.7.
Yeah, I think so. As we wait on that score to come across that board, an 88.3 on it. So that will put him in a better position, make it into battles. We wait on BG, Brandon Gardner, at the line, ready to go through the chicane. And throwing it to angle quickly, right back on throttle. And staying in outside zone number 1, nice and smooth, leaving it and heading into outside zone number 2. Picking up that throttle, maybe bouncing off the wall just a little bit there as he transitions for 3, down across that inside clip. Nicely done. Up across a 6, now down into the final outside zone. And a good score on the board, I think, for Brandon Gardner.
Yeah, wow. B-Pat throwing it down. 94.3.
Brandon Gardner.
That improved.
Not B-Pat.
My bad. Wrong one. I'm reading too many things here. BG. There we go. 94.3 he put down, beating that 93.8. 85.5 for this man here, Kevin Stump. Kevin Stump initiating in. Another driver wanting to improve, as no one really knows what that score is going to look like yet. Not until we get into that final group. So, transitioning out of Outer Zone 1. He looked great through Outer Zone 1, making quick work of Outer Zone 2, and looking good doing it through 3. Nice and smooth here for Kevin Stump. Dropping a little tire, though, on the exit of 4. Now through 5 and 6. Could left a little bit of room there in Outer Zone 6. Really chucks it in for the final Outer Zone. Gets right on that yellow line, stamps the throttle, and crosses the line.
Yeah, again, not too bad from Kevin Stump, trying to better the 85.2, and he does. Look at there, a 90 on the board for Kevin Stump. We've got Olivier back at the line, 91.7 on the board, and our last and final driver here in group number 4 before moving on to our last group. Olivier initiating in. Leaving it just a little bit, works it back out to the outside. Good transition across a little early, but extends and buries the bumper in outside zone number 2. Good transition for 3, but a little bit on the inside there for that inside clip. Working his way up into 6, now down into 7. Big angle there, extending out just a little bit before making that final transition. Continuing on there along that track edge and across that finish line.
Well, Olivier wanting to improve on that 91.7. Will he do it? 85.7. So falling short of that 91.7 as we move on to now our final driver of Group 4, Samuel Cuddy. Sitting on that 88.8. Everyone wants to improve. Nobody knows what that cutoff's going to be. So let's see what Samuel Cuddy can do for run number 2. Throwing it in that E46. Almost right to the track edge there through all of Outer Zone 1. Looking good as he leaves it down to Outer Zone 2. Pushes to get it all the way out to that wall to hang that wing over. Throws it through Outer Zone 3. Grabs Outer Zone 4 nicely as well. He's starting to put the power down in that E46. He comes through Outer Zone 6. One last transition to go. One last time to beat the score, the 88.8 as he crosses the line. Will he improve?
Yeah, nicely done. I think the most angle I've seen at outside zone number 4 as well. 95.2 on the board, so certainly improving, and that's going to put him in the top 8, 5th position. With that 95.2 as we load in our last and final group of a traditional 2-run qualifying. We'll pull up those current top scores. I'm not quite aware of our cutoff point. Again, the top 28 locked themselves into tomorrow's top 32 main event, but then 29 through 44 get put in the last 16 qualifying battles where they battle out for those final 4 positions in the top 32 main event. Once we have those 4 drivers, we stop it there and then seed them in depending on what their original qualifying scores were. But once qualifying is over, don't go anywhere. We'll take a short break, get the bracket together, get the server together, and then bring them right back for those last 16 qualifying battles. I believe we've gotten last call for those practice runs for our last and final group of qualifying. Again, group number 5, Reese Tatterson is going to start us off, and then Tikhon Pileski right behind him. Simon Sandman after that. Mustafa Amade ended up making it. Glad to see him here. Augusto Fedena, Alex Rogachev, John Reeves, Danielis Parangauskas, Martina Sostreka, and Brandon Patrick. But Reese Tatterson now at the line, ready to go for his first qualifying run here in round number 2. Ruapuna Park, layout C. Last and final RTR driver in teams Heinze, and almost throwing it away there as he drops tire before the beginning of outside zone number 1 and that wall. I know he puckered for that one. Reese continuing on, filling outside zone number 2, goes wide for the inside clip. Oh, maybe a little shaken up, lacking the angle for 6. That means he's going to be flying here. Has to check up before he makes that transition. Back on throttle and across that finish line for Reese Tatterson.
Well, Reese putting a whole new name to riding the wall. As he tried his best. It shook up the rest of his run. 80.8 on the board. He still has another run to make up for it. Tikhon Pileski now leaving the line, trying to do his best in qualifying, initiating in, looking good off the initiation, right to the track edge there. And holding it nicely all through outer zone 1. Now the transition down into outer zone 2. Puts it right into the wall. Hanging that wing over it. Making the transition through 3. Tikhon Pileski looking dialed in on this track as he comes through outer zone 5. Now into 6. Quick transitions and holding that angle. It all comes down to the final outer zone. Puts it perfectly on the line. Tikhon Pileski.
Yeah, my goodness. Especially outside zone number 2. What in the world? Tikhon back on it. There it is. 94.5 for Tikhon. Beep boop Pileski. We move on to Simon Sandman. Initiating in. Staying on throttle. Nice and smooth here through outside zone number 1 so far. Leaving it staying on throttle once more. Snappy transition across, leaving 3 just maybe a little bit soon, but gets around that inside clip. Nicely done for 6. Down into 7. Final transition. Staying smooth there as he picks up that throttle and works his way across that finish line.
Simon putting in a decent score there, 88.8 to start things off for our final group here of qualifying as we wait for Mustafa Amine to get to the line. I can see him driving in the background, trying to get up here. Come on, Mustafa, where are you at? There he is. That beautiful Altezza. His lights quickly go on. He starts his first run of qualifying. Mustafa Amine already on it out of the gate. Initiates in, looking good into outer zone 1, right along that yellow line. Beautifully done through outer zone 1. Now the transition down into outer zone 2 keeps it right on that yellow line, giving the wall a little kiss there. As he comes through outer zone 3, grabs that inside clip and fills all of outer zone 4. Mustafa Amine looking comfortable here at Ruapuna Park. As he comes through outer zone 6, maybe left a little room on the table there for 6. And a little checkup as he comes into that final outer zone. But a great first run for Mustafa Amine.
Yeah, nicely done from him. He's been caught up at work for quite some time as well. I'm not even sure how much practice he got, but he got a 94 on the board anyway. We move on to Augusto Ferreira. Uto through the chicane. Running back in the skyline. Same livery, a little bit different colors, and looking good through outside zone number 1 so far. He buries his foot in the throttle there. Picking up throttle once more for outside zone number 2. Snappy transition back. Nicely done for inside clip. Filling for big angle there before making that final rotation for that last and final zone. And no, it goes off. Maybe even 2 tires. But he completes the run.
It's all going so well for Augusto until it wasn't. Ends up with a 64.8 for run number 1. He's gonna want to improve that in run number 2. Alex Rogashev at the line. First time here driving in the VDC. Let's see how qualifying goes. Initiates in. Looking good off the initiation. Keeping it almost right to that yellow line for the first part of outer zone 1 and getting there right at the end. Now the big transition to outer zone 2, a little bobbled through outer zone 2, but he keeps it together, keeping it right near that yellow line. Through outer zone 3, that inside clip, and now outer zone 4 into 5, looking good now, starting to feel a little comfortable with the car. Final transition into the final outer zone, keeping it on the yellow line, driving it like you should. Alex, welcome to the VDC.
Yeah, absolutely nicely done, and an 88 on the board for Alex. Move along. Rampage at the line. The only Corvette in the field. And through the chicane. Great initiation from him. Oh, he was putting a ton of practice in yesterday and this morning. That's paying off so far here in outside zone number 2. Transitions back. Nicely done for the inside clip as well. All the way out there to that track edge. Once more, we saw a little tiny puff of dirt, but I think it's just he's so close to the track edge. Oh, picking up that throttle. And across that finish line. Nicely done.
In a world full of S chassis and BMWs, get yourself a Corvette. 94.5 on the board for Dijon Reeves for his first run. What a wild run that was. Wow. As we come down to the last 3 drivers here, the final group of qualifying. Danilius Parangauskas sending it in the Lexus. Few bobbles there coming into outer zone 1 off the initiation, really trying to work his way out to that outer zone and get it right on the wall, but he makes up for it in outer zone 2. A lot cleaner through outer zone 2. Grabs 3 and that inside clip fills all of outer zone 4. Looking good through 5, starting to look a little comfy with the car now. Starting to feel it out. Really hucks it in though for the final outer zone. Had to check up yet again as he drives it through and finishes out the run.
Nicely done for Parangauskas We wait on that score to come through at 90.5 on the board. More and more drivers working their way into the 90s. Martinez off for his first run. Can he keep it on the track? He went really deep from before that wall, drove it back on course, and continues on now into outside zone number 2, picking up that throttle, working his way through it. Nicely done for 3. Round 4, now 5. Could have been a little bit deeper there. We want him on that yellow line for those maximum points. Nicely done there. Final transition, a little wide there, picking up that throttle and crossing that finish line.
Well, still a good run for Martinez Ostrega. He will get pretty high up there in the points. We wait for one more score to come in. There it is, 89 on the board, which isn't too shabby. Now for our final driver of Group 5, Brandon Patrick. Beat Bat. What I meant earlier when I get them confused, and it's what I was talking about, is when these two battle, my dyslexia does not like it. But Brandon Patrick, ready to go for run number 1 of qualifying, sending it in that BMW, tons of angle as he came into outer zone 1, kind of had to pull back out of it and add more angle in near the end. Now the transition into outer zone 2, right before that yellow line, just keeping it nice and conservative as he comes through outer zone 3. Then down into 4, leaving quite a bit of room into outer zone 4, through 5 now into 6, looking great through 6. One last transition to go, one last outer zone before we go back up to the top for the second runs of qualifying. Brandon Patrick crosses the line.
Yeah, my goodness. I think we have a little sound hiccup too with his car, because I don't believe that thing is rotary powered, but a 93.3 on the board. We should now have our cutoff scores. Get refresh on that. We send Reese Tatterson off 80.8 currently on the board. And what in the world? So we're gonna it looks to be on Reese's end, as my ping personally hasn't changed.
Yeah, mine neither. That looked like complete lag on Reese's end.
We'll wait and see for an official. It is a 0 popping up on the board. Super unfortunate there, as he unfortunately entered the shadow realm there for a second, right before initiation as well.
Well then, quickly leaving the server as well, Reese Tatterson with his 0 on run number 2. Hopefully that 80.8 is enough to see him into the last 16 battles. Tikon Pileski throwing it to the wall, sitting on a 94.5. Another previous VDC champion. Now into outer zone 2, looking great through outer zone 2. He is dialed in here at Ruapuna, maybe a little wide into the inside clip, but makes it through outer zone 4, 5, and 6 beautifully. Now into the final outer zone, and textbook Tikon beat Boot Pileski, loading up that file and just saying, do the driving for me.
Yeah, slash execute. 97.8 on the board, eyeing Masashi Yoshida, but I think Masashi does have the higher lower score, which keeps him in that number 1 position. We will double check if you want to double check that for me real quick
right now. And yes, Masashi has a 94.7 for his low score. So
there it is. Simon Sandman off for his second run, throwing it to big angle very quickly. Somehow hangs on to it, trying to better the 88.8 that is currently on the board for him. We see that top 28 cutoff. One's moving on into the main event tomorrow, locking themselves in 90.3. Make it into the last 16. You need that 82.7. So Simon is currently safe with that 88.8. Let's see what run number 2 will be.
Run number 2 is looking like an improvement, and an improvement indeed. 94.8 for run number 2 from Simon Sandman. Now, also sitting on a 94, well, this man at the line here, Mustafa Amine, throwing it down in that Altezza or IS 300. I can't tell if it's left hand or right hand, but hey, throws it in from the initiation into outer zone 1 and looking nice and clean through outer zone 1. Doing exactly what he needs to do. Now the transition down to outer zone 2, right along that yellow line through outer zone 2, makes the transition through 3. Now that inside clip all the way out to 4, filling it beautifully. Now 5 and 6. And 6 looks good as well. One last transition, so smooth. The driving from Mustafa here as he finishes out his run here in qualifying. What a nice run.
Yeah, nicely done indeed. And I'm pretty sure with very limited practice, and he does better his score, 96 on the board. That'll put him in 5th position. Back around to Guto, sitting with that very low score of a 64.8. Needs to better it here if he wants to see battles. He picks up that throttle, working his way through outside zone number 1. Could have been deeper there for sure. He works his way back out to the track edge, making his first transition in outside zone number 2 all the way out there before leaving it around that inside clip. Filling 6, tiny little angle correction there. On angle through 7 and now into 8. Nice and smooth. Keeps it on track this time. Almost going off there across the line.
Augusto Ferreira wanting to improve that 64.8 and does indeed, up to an 88. But will it be enough? We will find out shortly. As only 6 drivers remain here in qualifying, including the one going out right now, sitting on an 88, Alex Rogachev, throwing it in off the initiation to outer zone 1. Lots of angle right along that yellow line. Looking good through outer zone 1. Makes the transition down to outer zone 2. Holding good angle as it transitions to outer zone 3 through that inside clip. Pushes all the way out. Tries to anyway. Missed out a little bit there on outer zone 4. Makes up on outer zone 5 and 6. So lots of angle leaving 6. Setting it up for 7. But no. Drops 2 tires. Drives back on course. We'll see how that affects his score and if it's enough now to beat that 88.
Yeah, currently safe for the last 16 qualifying battles, and it does fall shy, 79.5, so we may see him in just a little bit. That last 16 qualifying battles. Rampage back at the line in the Corvette, ready to go. 94.5 currently on the board. And sitting 11th. Currently safe for tomorrow's top 32 main event. Even outside zone number 1. Nicely done for outside zone number 2 as well. Right along that yellow line. Nicely done for inside clip. All the way for 6, 7 as well. Putting on a show here. Picking up that throttle for the last and final outside zone. Small little angle bobbles here and there, but gets it done.
Gets it done indeed. Dejan Reeves with a 95.5, 1 point higher than his 94.5, and he's got to be happy about that one. Next at the line, sitting on a 90.5, Danielis Perengauskis. Ready to go. Final run of qualifying. 3 drivers remain. Throws it into outer zone 1. Corrections on the wheel as he settles in for outer zone 1. Now leaves it transitioning down to outer zone 2. Carrying lots of speed, but making it work. Just grazing that wall with that back bumper as he comes through outer zone 3 and pushes out to the track edge of outer zone 4. Now through 5 and 6. He's looking good, carrying lots of speed. Gets it slowed down. Another little bobble there as he comes into the final outer zone, but gets back on throttle and drives it through that finish line.
Nicely done. Trying to better the 90.5. Does fall shy though, 89.3, so he'll hang on to it. Currently safe for the top 32 main event, but it is close. We work our way to Martinez Ostreka now. Initiating in. Sitting on the 89. 33rd position currently. Safe for the last 16 qualifying battles. Can he make his way into the top 32? Would have been deeper for 5. Billing 6. Now 7. Good transition for 8. Oh, tiny little bobble picking up that throttle. And across that finish line.
Well, Martinez wanting to improve on the 89 does improve. 91.2 on the board for him for his final run, sitting on a 93.3. And our final run of qualifying before we go into the last 16 battles. Brandon Patrick. Let's see what he does for run number 2. Throws it in that Beamer and really doing a good job getting it right to that yellow line around outer zone 1 and holding it through the whole way, transitioning down to outer zone 2 now. Gets it to that yellow line as he slowly makes his way out there, transitioning into outer zone 3, but going a little wide for the inside clip. Through outer zone 4 and 5, filling them beautifully. Lots of angle thrown for outer zone 6, makes the transition. The final one here of qualifying doesn't quite get to that yellow line, but it was a nice, smooth, and solid run.
Yeah, will it be enough to better the 93.3? Falls shy with a 91.3, so he'll hang on to that position of 12th place. So that is going to do it for qualifying, traditional qualifying at least. Well, again, we still have our last 16 qualifying battles coming up, so we'll take a look at all of those qualifying scores here today and where that cutoff point is. Again, our top 28 is locked into tomorrow's top 32 main event, while 29 through 44 get put into a last 16 qualifying battles that is coming up here in just a few moments. So Masashi Yoshida hanging on to that number 1 position, 97.8. Tikon as well with a 97.8, but a lower score that will put him into 2nd position. And then Alan Hines with a 97.7 to round out your top 3 qualifiers for round 2 here at Ruapuna Park. And again, last 16 qualifying battles coming up next. What do you think, Tanner?
I think we're in for a show for battles. I mean, looking at the way qualifying was, I think battles are going to be absolutely crazy here, and it's anyone's game to get through these last 16. And then that'll just give us a pre-show for the main show tomorrow morning. For me, anyway. Could be evening or night or afternoon, depending on where you are.
Absolutely. So again, we'll take a very short break. We'll get our bracket together, get the server together, and then we'll be right back with those last 16 qualifying battles. So don't go anywhere, and we'll see you in a few. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are here for the last 16 qualifying battles. If you're just now joining us, we will go over that line map one more time. Initiation at the top of your screen for your first off-throttle zone that drivers are allowed to use. Have they been using it today in qualifying? Not so much. But back on throttle for outside zone number one and the massive wall ride for it. Transitioning across those track there for outside zone number two with another large wall ride, a small tiny little decel zone there and into a little off throttle zone. Have drivers been using it? Not so much, as they continue on, leaving outside zone number two into three and around the next inside clip, your only inside clip, at clip number four, back out to the track edge for 5 and then 6, 7 and out to 8 for your next decel zone. Slowing down for that last and final outside zone, riding that track edge all the way around, and then we will take a look at our last 16 qualifying battles bracket. William Holloway and Juanan to start things out, then Daniel Mora and Luciano Canero, Liam Akihiko and Robert Kivsinski, Austin Mitchell and Dimitri Mitten will be our first group here for the last 16 qualifying battles. An awesome format that we added. It was last season, right, Tanner?
It was last season. It was.
We had just so many drivers qualifying with 90 plus scores and not ever seeing battles. So we implemented this to include 44 drivers instead of 32. And these drivers get to battle their way through and earn their spot into the top 32 main event now tomorrow. Previously, we squeezed everything into one day. Now we split it into two. and I've been enjoying that as well. Also, the track is given just 24 hours before qualifying, so a big change as well for the drivers there, where previously we gave it out a week. Even one time we gave it out 2 weeks before each event, but now just 24 hours. And I don't know, man, they're still doing the same scores.
It doesn't matter what we throw at them. They're just they learn, improve, adapt, and show why they are the best at virtual drifting. Like, it's absolutely insane to watch how fast these guys can pick up the track, set up the car, understand it, and just lay down heaters. And well, speaking of heaters, I think we have our first battle coming to the line here for the first time for the last 16 of round 2 of the Virtual Drift Championship. Starting things out in the lead lane, William Holloway qualified 29th up against the 44th qualifier, Juan Jorquez. They're going to leave the lights as they go on. William Holloway leading it out, initiating in, looking good. Juanin on the attack, trying to get right up onto the door through outer zone 1, and he manages to do so, leaving just a good buffer here for the transition down into outer zone 2. William Holloway doing a great job out front, but Juanin really not letting him get away as they come through that inside clip, and now down through this Manji section, through outer zone 4, 5, and 6. And they're looking great. Juanin trying to stay as close to William as he can, but bumps him through the final outer zone. Not enough to upset William Holloway, but that might fall favor through the judges.
Yeah, it's really easy to do there as we take another look at the replay here. William out front and staying very smooth through this run, using a little bit of left foot brake entering into outside zone number 1, but again, staying all the way out there through that wall, nice and smooth on his first transition, filling outside zone number 2. 3 as well, down around this inside clip, right where he needs to be. We want that lead tire through the middle of that box, filling these zones as well, staying within the track. And then here comes that little bit of contact here in that last and final outside zone. You see him a little bit on the inside. Very close, very close.
Very close battle indeed, and it's interesting to watch how the battles are going to unfold here after watching qualifying. So we'll see how the second half of this battle goes. Juan Jorquez now in the lead lane. William Holloway ready to chase him down. Lights go on, and the second half of this battle is underway. Who's going to be the first one to advance on to the next set of battles? Initiating in, contact off of the initiation from William Holloway into Juan Jorquez as they come through outer zone 1. They're both trying to salvage the run and keep on it. Not enough to make them straighten out. William Holloway definitely on the back foot now as they come through outer zone 3. William Holloway trying to get up onto the door of Juan Jorquez as they come through outer zone 4 and 5 now, but still on the back foot is William Holloway from that earlier contact. Now into the final outer zone. William Holloway gets onto the door, but will it be enough? This battle's just been flipped on its head.
Yeah, let's take a second look here. Got contact in the initiate. Yeah, just getting right into the bumper, and it really negatively affects William more than anything. It was him that made the contact. They continue on. William on the inside of turn number 2 as well, big time. Continuing on, maybe from the lack of momentum after that contact. They continue on here. Juanin looking good, picking up that throttle, staying within the track there. And across that finish line, we will go to our judges for the first time here. William on the left, Juanin on the right. Winner moves on into the next set of battles here in the last 16, and we've actually got a one more time between the two, so we'll line them back up. Judges want them to just clean it up. We'll see him go at it again.
So already with our first one more time here for round 2 of the last 16 battles for qualifying, we're going to see them come back to the top. They get on that fresh set of tires, and now here they come. I can see them moving in the background there. So William Holloway will slot back into the lead lane for the one more time battle. Juanin will slot him beside him in that chase lane. William with contact on the second run, Juanin with contact on the first run. Judges want to see a bit of a cleaner battle. Let's see what happens. The lights turn on and the one more time battle's underway. William Holloway now on throttle, going down the straight. Juanin right there on the bumper as they initiate in and come through outer zone 1. Leaving a good amount of room there. Just enough for the transition as they transition along the bumper into outer zone 2. William Holloway looking good out front here now. Juanin really attacking that BRZ of William Holloway as they come through outer zone 5 and 6 now. Getting pushed a little wide maybe was William Holloway through that outer zone. It was hard to tell if that was incidental or on his own as they finish out this run.
Yeah, we'll get a second look at it here on the replay. William Holloway out front, initiating in. No contact here into outside zone number 1. William all the way out there along that wall. Nicely done through 1 into 2 now. A little bit shallow. Works his way back out to the outside. Juanin right there with him. Bumper to bumper through that second transition. Around that inside clip is William. Bumper to bumper once more through this next transition. No, I don't think any contact. I think William just going a little bit wide there for the last and final transition as well. Dropping a little bit of tire and across that finish line.
Now for the second half of the battle, only one can move on. Juanin Jorquez or William Holloway. The lights go on in the second half of this one more time battle's underway. Juanin initiating in. No contact this time off the initiation. William Holloway quickly gets back up onto the door of Juanin, leaving enough room there out of the exit of outer zone 1 for the transition down to outer zone 2. Juanin doing a great job out front here so far in the first half of the course. William trying to attack him as much as he can as they come through the Manji section here. Transitioning again. Losing ground is William Holloway as they come into that final outer zone. Juanin puts it right on the yellow line. Holloway gets up onto the door, gives him a little tap as they cross that finish line.
Yeah, trying to assert dominance across that finish line. Let's take a second look. Juanin out front. William giving chase. No contact along that initiation this time, but William falling back quite a bit. Has to work his way back into the pocket of that lead driver, Juanin. Good transition across from Juanin. William a little bit on the inside, but works it back out into the pocket through that inside clip. Staying on the bumper through that next transition as William back there backs up a little bit for that one into 7 and now into 8. Nice and clean from Juanin out front. Here's William reeling him in and then pushing him across that finish line. And we go to our judges once more here in the last 16. William on the left, Juanin on the right. Again, this was a one more time battle if you're just now joining us. Very first battle in the last 16 qualifying battles was a one more time. Chris slides right, Ed slides right, Carl slides right as well, and Juanin gets the win over William Holloway, and we'll see him later in the last 8. One step closer to the top 32 main event.
Well, congratulations to Juanin Jorquez taking that win from William Holloway, moving one step closer to get into the top 32. Now we go to see who will face Juanin in the next set of battles. Will it be Daniel Mora in the lead lane, qualifying 36, or will it be Luciano Canero, qualifying 37th in that chase lane? The lights go on, and this battle's quickly underway. Down the straight they come, initiating in. Looking good for Daniel Mora off the initiation, and on the attack is Luciano Canero, trying to get onto that door through all of outer zone 1. Now really on the door through outer zone 2, not letting Daniel Mora move. Almost not giving him enough room for the transition out of outer zone 3 into 4. Now they come down through 4 and into through 5 into 6. Daniel Mora looking good out front, dropping some tire here and there. And some contact from Luciano Canero in that rear, but could that have been because Daniel Mora slowed up too much in that final outer zone?
Yeah, I think Daniel was off already. Nice start to this teammate battle between these two. Daniel Mora out front here on the replay. Luciano giving chase, and I think you're right. I don't think Luciano gave enough room for that first transition. We'll take another look here on it. Daniel looking good so far into outside zone number 2. Nicely done. Goes to transition. Wow, super close. Hard to see if there was any contact. They continue on like nothing ever happened either way. Down into 7 now. Is there contact into 8? Staying off of him, staying off of him. No, I think it is Daniel independently going off course. But we'll go back to the start line for the second half of their battle.
And back around the start line, they are ready to go. Luciano Canero now in the lead. Daniel Mora ready to chase him down. Only one advance is on. A little shaky out of the gate there for Luciano, but he gets the traction and initiates into outer zone 1. Daniel Mora right there on the door of that Z of Luciano through outer zone 1, leaving just enough room for the transition into outer zone 2. Daniel almost starting to really over-rotate there and almost losing drift. Looks like he completely straightened at one point as they tried to make that transition work into outer zone 3. Now they come through 5 and 6. They're already coming quickly to an end of this course. Luciano doing a good job up front. Daniel Mora finally catches back up. But that's something to look at there, is that outer zone 2 mishap.
Yeah, I think you're right there, and Daniel over-rotating. I mean, completely on the inside of the course, and a huge mistake as we take another look here on the replay. Luciano working his way through outside zone number 1, and we see a lot of angle being pulled out from Daniel there, and yeah, maybe just a little bit left foot or too much left foot brake, and that front gripping up in the rear coming around. They continue on though, but it is going to be a massive mistake for Daniel Mora in that chase position as we head to our judges. It will be Daniel Mora on the left, Luciano Canero on the right. Fun teammate battle here in the last 16. Who will advance on and one step closer to the top 32 main event tomorrow? It's going to be Luciano getting the win over teammate Daniel Mora.
Luciano moving on, face Juanin for a chance at getting into the top 32 battles tomorrow. We move into our next battle. Liam Akihiko qualifying 32nd today up against Robert Kavinsky qualifying 41st. Liam will be in that lead lane. Robert chasing him down. The lights go on in this next last 16 battles underway. Liam out front, Robert chasing him down. They initiate in for outer zone 1. Really on the attack is Robert, quickly getting onto the door of Liam Akihiko out front, leaving just enough room for that transition into outer zone 2, and we're almost throwing it backwards into outer zone 2 to stay with Liam as they come through outer zone 3. Hitting that inside clip is the chase of Robert. Now they come through outer zone 4, 5, and 6. Losing ground now is Robert, trying to catch back up to Liam Akihiko. Liam Akihiko goes wide, and some contact made there from Robert. Is that just due to the decel of going wide from Liam, or was something happening with Robert coming in with too much speed?
Yeah, let's take another look here. Liam out front, Robert giving chase. Liam really clean on his initiation and into outside zone number 1. Staying along that wall all the way through it. Robert staying with him through that first transition. Yeah, as you pointed out, coming in almost backwards into outside zone number 2. Although Liam, I think, checked up quite a bit coming into it. They continue on. Now across 6, now into 7. Lacking a little bit of angle is Liam. Might have led to the excess of speed. And yeah, he does drop a tire well before the contact happens from Robert.
Well, now back around at the start line. Robert now in the lead lane. Liam ready to chase him down. The lights go on in the second half. The battle's underway. Down the straight they come. Robert initiating in. Liam sticking right there with him as they come into outer zone 1. Lots of angle thrown from Robert. Liam's just scraping that door the whole way through outer zone 1, almost pushing him through it, going, go faster, as they come into outer zone 2 now. through outer zone 2, nice and clean. Liam is not leaving the door of Robert Kavinsky's car. They come through outer zone 5 and now transitioning into 6 along the bumper. Liam is sticking right there with them, and a big understeer moment for the chase, but he quickly catches up, puts his car on the door where it's been that whole run onto Robert. Wow.
Absolutely. Let's take another look there, pushing Robert across the line. Robert almost 90 across the line. Let's take another look here into outside zone number 1. Robert with a ton of speed entering in. They continue on, leaving outside zone number 1 now. Transition almost late from Robert. He really cut his angle, leaving outside zone number 1, filling that zone there. But Liam can't be shaken. Right on the bumper through that transition into 7, now into 8. Small, tiny little bobble in that chase position, but there you see just a ton of angle across that finish line. And we'll go to our judges here. Liam on the left, Robert on the right. Winner moves one step closer to the top 32 main event tomorrow. Here for round number 2 at Ruapuna Park. Shout out to Lewis B for the convert from R Factor, and there it is. Robert is going to get the win over Liam Akihiko, and we'll see him later in the last 8.
Well, now to finish out the left-hand side of the bracket, Austin Mitchell in the lead lane, qualifying 33rd, up against Dimitri Mitten, qualifying 40th today. To see who's going to go see Robert Kavinsky in the last 8. The lights go on, and this battle's quickly underway. Initiating it, Austin Mitchell right behind him. Dimitri Mitten. Dimitri Mitten quickly gets up onto the door through outer zone 1. Trying not to make contact. Some more angle is added from Austin right at the end of outer zone 1. But, contact there from Dimitri Mitten into outer zone 2, into the front end of Austin Mitchell. They make it through outer zone 3 and 4 now, through that inside clip, now into that power section. Outer zone 5 and 6. Now to get it slowed down. The final outer zone. Dimitri Mitten just can't find his groove here in that chase lane, trying to keep up on the door of Austin Mitchell. But Austin Mitchell driving that one all the way through to the finish.
Yeah, let's take another look here. Austin Mitchell out front. Chased down by Dimitri Mitten. Nice and clean through outside zone number 1. Maybe a little wall tap there from Austin out front. Keeps it smooth though, heading into outside zone number 2. And then not really sure what happened there between those two and outside zone number 2. They continue on filling that zone. Now 6, could have been a little bit deeper from Austin. Nice. Done for 7, now into 8, picking up that throttle. Small little bobble. Dimitri right there with him across that finish line. We go back to the start line for the second half.
We do indeed. Dimitri Mitten now in the lead lane. Austin Mitchell ready to chase him down. Austin Mitchell's first appearance here in the VDC, and I'm sure he's not ready to go home quite yet. The lights go on. Second half of the battle's underway. Dimitri Mitten lighting up the tires all the way down the straight, initiates in for outer zone 1. Austin Mitchell right there on the door, giving a little tap there to Dimitri Mitten in that lead. There's a little bobble there as the chase leaves outer zone 1, now into outer zone 2. Austin Mitchell nice and close to Dimitri Mitten in that chase as they come through the inside clip and out to outer zone 4, into outer zone 5 and 6 now. That Manji section, a little room given for the slowdown here, but wide goes the chase into the grass. Maybe he was following Dimitri Mitten there, thought Dimitri Mitten was doing the same. He was able to only drop 2 tires, where all the way wide went Austin Mitchell.
Yeah, it might come down to that. Dimitri coming in a little bit hot as well. I don't think contact happened. Now, I will agree, Austin was probably going to go off anyway. Was trying to close a gap, but with Dimitri also going out front. Let's take another look here. Down through 3, around that inside clip. Nicely done by both of them. Austin sacrificing just a little bit of angle to stay with him. Here he makes a dive into 7 and now into 8. You see him flying in, but there's Dimitri Mitten also going off as well. I don't think with any contact. Judges might take a second looks at it. But we will see. We're going to our judges graphic, and Austin Mitchell is on the left, Dimitri Mitten on the right. Winner again moves one step closer to the top 32. And we'll start at the same time tomorrow for our top 32, 11 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. GMT.
9 a.m. MST.
There you go. May play around with some times this season as well, being that we've moved to a 2-day event. Might try an hour later one event. Have to wait and see, being that the days are much shorter. The Asia Oceanic doesn't up so terribly late. All right, we've got a split decision. Austin Mitchell does get the win with Chris and Carl going left. Ed goes right for Dimitri Mitten. But again, majority rules, and Austin Mitchell will find himself one step closer to the top 32. So we'll take a look at our bracket here in just a second, with the left-hand side of the bracket being complete. The Wanan getting the win over William Holloway. Luciano also earning the victory over teammate Daniel Mora. Robert Kaczynski taking out Liam Akihiko, and then Austin Mitchell getting his win over Dimitri Mitten. So next up, right-hand side of the bracket, Ernestas Yakubis, Ethan Pitcherkow, Stephen Hatcher, and Alex Robichev. Kevin Stump and Cameron Mustard, Abdul Rahman Al Shetwi, and Augusto Ferreira. Already the 44th, 37th, 41st, and 33rd qualifiers moving on one step closer to the top 32 main event tomorrow here for round 2. I'll tell you what, these the battles have been fun so far. We already have a one more time. What do you think, Tanner?
I think they're just heating up. I think as the drivers, get those battles in them, we're going to see craziness for tomorrow's top 32. I mean, if the last 16 is already this exciting, it's anyone's game out here. They're all going to have to drive at their best, at their limit. And that's when the cracks start to show, and it has been fantastic. And we still have a lot more to go through today, and then even more tomorrow. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell so you get notified every time we go live, so that way you never miss anything that we have to show here.
Absolutely. Well said. We've got our next battle coming to the line.
We definitely do. Ernestas Ukulibis qualifying 30th. He's at the line in that lead lane up against Ethan Pikachu, qualifying 43rd today in the chase. They're going to start things off for our right-hand side of the bracket. 4 spots to fill for the next round of battles, and only one can advance on from this current battle. The lights go on, and off they go to start the right-hand side of the bracket. Ernestas Ukulibis gets a great start. Right with him is Ethan Pikachu as they initiate in. Ethan losing out a little bit off the initiation, but slowly really in. Ernestas, they come through the exit of Outer Zone 1. Now the transition down into Outer Zone 2 into the wall. Goes Ernestas Ukulibis in that lead, but a good job from Ethan Pikachu not to go into the wall with him. A little checkup there from the lead as they came out of that inside clip, but didn't upset the chase too much. If anything, to his advantage, got him back on the door. They come through Outer Zone, the final Outer Zone, wheel to wheel as they cross that finish.
Yeah, nicely done. Let's take another look at it here on the replay. Ernestas out front, Ethan giving chase. Here we go, initiating in. Nice and clean from Ernestas. Ethan, I thought he was done for back there in that chase position, but gets right back into the pocket, giving up a little bit of space through that first transition and outside zone number 2. But there we see Ernestas make a mistake and get into the wall just a little bobble there across that inside clip as well. Ethan now back into the fight here, working their way down through 7 and now into 8, picking up that throttle. Could have been a little bit deeper, almost getting pushed, and there they go, finishing out the first half of their battle.
Now back around at the start gate, ready for the second half of their battle. Ethan Pikachu will now lead out this run, Ernestus will chase him down. One advances on. One goes home a little early here for round 2. The lights go on and off they go. Second half of the battle underway, initiating in Ethan. Out front looking good. Ernestus right there on the door as they come through outer zone 1. Ernestus not giving up any breathing room as they transition down towards outer zone 2. Ethan going a little further inside, maybe even tapped. Or sorry, Ernestus maybe even tapped Ethan as they came through outer zone 2. And then even a little tap again through into outer zone 4. Through 5 and 6 now. Ernestus on the attack in that chase lane as Ethan does a great job out front to do what he can do. But Ernestus hasn't given him any breathing room through that run.
Not at all. Let's take another look here on the replay. Second half of the battle with Ethan out front. Ernestus chasing him down and staying with him all through this course. Nicely done for outside zone number 1. Nicely done from Ethan out front as well. Really clean, filling the zone. Good transition into outside zone number 2. Almost getting pushed there with a little mistake from that chase position. Ernestus nicely done around that inside clip as well. Out front, filling 6. Now into 7. Good angle from Ethan, pacing himself through this course, picking up that throttle early and right onto that yellow line with Ernestus right there in that chase position. And we go to our judges here. Ernestus on the left, Ethan on the right. And there they go, sliding right for Ethan. He'll get the win and one step closer to the top 32.
So Ethan advancing on, getting that win over Ernestus Yakulibis. And now we'll see who goes to face Ethan in that last 8. Will it be Steven Hatcher in the lead, qualifying 35th today, or will it be Alex Rogachev in the chase, qualifying 38th? Steven Hatcher already told us all he is not feeling well. He has a major flu, but he's going to try his best here in the last 16. So we'll see what happens here with their battle. Could it be Steven Hatcher advancing on? Could it be the newcomer Alex Rogachev? The lights come on, and we're about to find out as the first half of the battle's underway. Steven out front, Alex chasing him down, initiating it. Alex being super aggressive off the initiation, sending Steven Hatcher into the wall. And that'll be all she wrote for battle number 1. Oh man, not a lot to dissect there, but go ahead and do your thing, Treg.
Yeah, that honestly, that could have been so bad. I was when putting this layout together, I was a little bit nervous about that wall, and that kind of exact thing. We'll take another look here on the replay. It might take them a minute to get going on the replay, but that's all right. We'll take a second look while they drive back to the line and go the wrong way as well. There they go. Initiating in, and yeah, contact really quick. Good job to really kind of keep it together. They're also welcome to reset to pit too, in case there was any like mechanical damage and things like that. Yeah, even your arrow can be damaged. We'll go back to the start line and wait for him to come back to the line for, unfortunately, the second half of their battle.
Well, under the start gate and ready for the second half of their battle. Alex Rogachev now slots into the lead. Steven Hatcher ready to chase him down. Alex was super aggressive in his last chase. Let's see if he throws a better lead. Initiating in, tons of speed from Alex. Slowing it down, though, through outer zone 1. That allows Steven to get right up on the door through outer zone 1. Old school versus the new school through outer zone 2. The newcomer versus the veteran as they come through outer zone 3, now into outer zone 4 and 5. Steven Hatcher is just putting the car exactly where it needs to be. And Alex trying his best out there. As they come into that final outer zone, Steven gets back onto the door, but we'll leave it to the judges to decide who moves on from this battle.
Yeah, we get a full replay of a run here with Alex out front against second half of the battle with that contact that happened in the first half. Steven playing it a little safe on that initiation. I don't blame him. He gets right back into the fight by the end of outside zone number 1 and almost playing with fire through that first transition. Continuing on, filling 3. Alex doing a good job out front, filling 5 and now up into 6. And down into 7 with a ton of angle, pacing himself nicely with it. Picking up that throttle for the last and final outside zone. Steven almost pushing him across and then almost rotating. And we'll go to our judges here. Steven on the left, Alex on the right. Remember, we had major contact in the first half of the battle with Alex getting into Steven's door right along that initiation. So it'll depend on if Steven decel there, as it is not a decel zone and it doesn't look like it. So judges go left for Steven Hatcher. He gets the win, and again, one step closer to the top 32 main event tomorrow.
So Steven Hatcher moving on up against Ethan in the last 8 as we look to fill the bottom half of the right-hand side of the bracket. Next battle under the tower. Kevin Stump qualifying 31st. He's in your lead lane up against Cameron Mustard, qualifying 42nd in that chase. The lights go on and this battle is underway. Initiating in, Kevin Stump looking to get to angle. Cameron Mustard getting left behind, but Kevin Stump finding himself into the wall, trying to bury into that throttle to keep himself out of it. Cameron Mustard maybe predicting that with how much speed he came in, and that's why he was so far back through Outer Zone 1. Clean through Outer Zone 2 and 3. And Cameron Mustard is starting to put on the pressure here as they come through the Manji section of Outer Zone 5 and 6. Now into the final Outer Zone. Cameron Mustard makes that dive, trying to get onto the door. Tire drop from Kevin Stump out front as they cross that line.
Yeah, I think really the gap came from Kevin Stump maybe getting into the wall there, as each time he got into it pulls a little bit of angle out of the car. But yeah, he needs to thank me for making that wall collider so smooth. As we take another look here, 1, 2 taps on the wall, almost 3 there before leaving it, making the transition back and filling outside zone number 2. Cameron right back into the fight, making the dive there along that inside clip. And then getting left behind just a little bit here through this section of the course with Kevin Stump out front. Nicely done for 7 and into an 8 now, where Kevin goes a little bit off track, dropping a little bit of tire there. And we go back to that start line for the second half.
Well, the second half's under the tower, ready to go. Cameron Mustard in that lead. Kevin Stump ready to chase him down. Only one gets to move on to the last 8. The lights go out in the second half underway, lighting up the tires all the way down the straight as Cameron Mustard initiating into Outer Zone 1, looking good. Kevin Stump quickly getting onto that door as they come through Outer Zone 1. Leave it now to transition to Outer Zone 2. Kevin Stump trying to match that angle as they leave Outer Zone 2. Going up onto the rumbles and having to drop dirt was Kevin Stump, as he didn't leave enough room for the transition. Now on the back foot as they come through Outer Zone 5 and 6. Now caught back up. That chase leaving lots of room into Outer Zone, the final Outer Zone 7. Kevin Stump can't quite get back to the door. Let's see what the judges decide on this battle.
Yeah, let's take another look here with Cameron out front in the second half of their battle. Kevin Stump giving chase and initiating in as Cameron out front, super deep along outside zone number 1, but stays off of that wall. Nicely done on his angle as well. Good on the transition, but here's where Kevin starts to over-rotate a little bit, leaves outside zone 2 super early, and then that throws him to a massive angle going over that rumble strip there at outside zone number 3. Trying to get back into the fight, does catch him by outside 6 or clip 7, now into 8. Cameron right on that track edge, and we go to our judges here between these two. Kevin Stump on the left, Cameron Mustard on the right. And there they go, sliding right for Cameron Mustard. He'll get the win, and again, move one step closer. He'll face the winner of our last and final battle here in the last 16, Abdul Rahman El Shetwi and Augusto Pereira.
The final battle already of the last 16. Abdulrahman El Shetwi qualifying 34th. Now slots into that lead lane. Augusto Pereira qualifying 39th. Is chasing him down for run number 1 and the final run of last 16 before we move on to the last 8 and start filling the spots for the top 32. Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi off to a great start. Augusto Ferreira caught sleeping at the line. He is going to be having to play catch-up as Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi is just leading it out through all of outer zone 1, all on his own. All the way down the inside comes Augusto Ferreira, just trying to do anything to salvage that poor start off the line. Maybe he didn't see the light as they come through outer zone 5 and 6. Now Augusto Ferreira starting to get back up there. But too deep goes Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi, and that causes him to slow up, and that gives Augusto that chance to catch back up and finish out the run.
Yeah, that might be Guto's saving grace here. Let's see on the line. Oh, okay. So yeah, Augusto seems to leave the line on time, but maybe stalled it. Maybe in the wrong gear. I'm not real sure. I had to get back into it. He's way behind here on this replay with Abdulrahman putting down a really good run. Augusto sacrificing a little bit of line there for turn number 2, working his way back into the fight here. Starting to catch him, and now down into 7. Almost there. And here we see Abdulrahman drop a tire off that last and final outside zone across that finish line. We can go back to the start line.
Back at the start line we are, and ready to go for the second half of our final battle of the last 16. Well, Augusto Ferreira gonna lead it out now. Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi gonna chase him down, initiating in, looking good for Augusto this time, not sleeping at the line, but right on his door is Abdulrahman as they come through outer zone 1, transitioning down to outer zone 2, right along that yellow line. Beautiful lead run here from Augusto, but Al-Shetwi not giving him any space to make an error. He is right there on the door, leaving just enough room for the transitions here, right along the bumper. As they come into that final outer zone, Augusto slows it up just a little bit more, but it doesn't upset the chase. He sticks right there on the door and gives them a couple little love taps right before the finish line.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he also stops so abruptly at the end of the run. Let's take another look here. Guto out front, initiating in. Nicely done. Along that wall for outside zone number 1. Al-Shetwi right there in chase, right along that bumper for that first transition. Filling outside zone number 6, now down into 7. Huge angle. And then a big transition for the last and final outside zone. There they go across that finish line. And we'll go to our judges between these two here in a little bit of discussion in Discord over the light. Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi on the left, and then Guto on the right. Winner moves one step closer and faces Cameron Mustard. And there it is, Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi getting the win over Guto after stalling a little bit at the line there. Unfortunate to see, but we move on into the next step of our last 16 qualifying battles. That's going to complete our outside bracket. So Juanan and Luciano up next, Robert Kosinski and Austin Mitchell, Ethan Pitchercow and Stephen Hatcher, Cameron Mustard, and Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi.
Well, under the tower, looks like we have our first battle of the last 8 ready to go. Luciano Canero will slot into that lead lane, being chased down by Juanan Jorquez. And this is for a slot in the main show tomorrow, that top 32. The lights go on and off they go. Luciano Canero sends it into outer zone 1. Right with them, trying to match the angle is Juanan Jorquez in that chase, but not really able to do it till near the end as they come into outer zone 2 now. Luciano doing a great job right along that yellow line. Juanan sticking with them as they transition into that inside clip now through outer zone 5. but Juanin's starting to close that door, starting to get real close as they transition along the bumper. And now into that final outer zone. One more to go. On throttle goes Luciano. On throttle goes the chase of Juanin, and they finish out that run side by side.
Yeah, clean to start it out. Let's take another look here on the replay. Luciano out front, leading Juanin. They enter in the course nice and smooth from Luciano out front, hanging on to that wall all the way around it, with Juanin in chase, doing a fantastic job as well, filling outside zone number 2. Now down across into 3. Luciano wide for that inside clip, opening up the door for Juanin to take advantage. Look at that, bumper to bumper into 7, now into 8, picking up that throttle, tiny little wobble. They continue on, and we go back to the start gate.
And at the start gate, Juanin Jorquez is now slotted in the lead lane. Luciano Canero ready to chase him down for the second half of this battle. Only one can advance on to the top 32. The lights go on and the second half is underway. Lighting up the tires all the way down the straight. Juanin sends it into outer zone 1, and look at Luciano, a big dive there, quickly getting up onto the door and putting that tire onto the door all the way through outer zone 1 of Juanin. Now into outer zone 2, looking good for Juanin out front, but the chase of Luciano not giving him an inch to breathe as they come through outer zone 4. Now into 5, little bit of space here between the two as they come through this Manji section. Now into the final outer zone. Looking good for Juanin out front. Maybe dropped a little bit of a tire there, but Luciano quickly gives him a door tap right at the end.
Yeah, pushing him across that finish line. Let's take another look here on that replay. Second half of the battle here. Winner moves on into the top 32 main event. Juanin out front. Nicely done for outside zone number 1, but Luciano right there with him in that pocket and along that bumper for the first transition. Does sacrifice a little bit of line there, but gets right back into the pocket. Down into 3 now. A little bit better job from Juanin out front around that inside clip. Pulls a little bit of gap on Luciano. Down across 7 and into the final outside zone where he almost drops the tire. Continues on, and we go to our judges. Juanin on the left, Luciano on the right. Again, winner moves on to the top 32 main event tomorrow. Again, same time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. GMT. Or what, Tanner?
9 a.m. MST.
There you go.
In case you happen to live in that Mountain Standard Time.
There it is. We do have a decision. It is going to be a one more time. Ed does go left for Juanin, but we're going to line him back up.
Well, a one more time battle to happen in the last state and to fill that first spot of the top 32. 4 spots are all that is there. 4 more battles to go. And now, these two are battling it out once again to make sure that whoever gets into it deserves to be in the main show tomorrow. Luciano Canero will now slot back into that lead lane, while Juanin Jorquez will chase him down for run number 1 of this one more time battle here in the last state, round 2 of the Virtual Drift Championships at Ruapuna Park. There are the drivers coming under the tower now. They wait for those lights to ignite, to signal the start of the one more time battle, and there it goes. Luciano Canero off to a good drive. Juanin sticking right there with them, initiating in, looking good. Juanin keeping right there on the door of Luciano Canero as they come through outer zone 1. Lots of angle being put on by Luciano as they come out of that into outer zone 2. But sticking right with them is the chase of Juanin as they come through outer zone 3 down to that inside clip. Juanin keeping a good proximity here as they come through outer zone 4, now down towards 6. Good driving by both drivers. Luciano doing a great job out front, but Juanin just keeping it nice and clean, giving him that little tap there right at the end.
Yeah, what an evenly matched battle we have here between these two. Let's take another look here. Luciano out front. Warren giving chase right along that bumper as they initiate. Luciano filling outside zone number 1, using a little bit of left foot brake. It is allowed as long as they're not, really standing on it. Nicely done for outside zone number 2 as well. Luciano around that inside clip, Warren right along that bumper into 6. Down into 7 as well, staying right there in that pocket. Backs up for that final transition and then right back into it for that last and final outside zone. Again, nice and clean from both of these drivers.
Let's see how the second half of this battle unfolds. Juan and Jorquez now in the lead. Luciano Canero ready to chase him down. The lights go on in the second half of this one more time. Battle is underway. Only one can go to the top 32. Initiating in. Looking good for Juan, and great angle as they come into outer zone 1. Luciano sticking right there on the door, almost pushing him through outer zone 1. Now the transition down to outer zone 2. Juan and right on the yellow line. Luciano sticking right with him as he leaves no room for the transition to outer zone 3. Through that inside clip, through outer zone 4 on the power. Looking good for the lead here. The chase giving barely any room though as they come into that final outer zone. Not as deep as Juan probably wanted to be. And that gave Luciano that chance to really get up into the pocket as they cross that line.
Yeah, do we have a winner this time? Let's take another look. Second half of the battle here. Juan out front, Luciano right there with him this time along that initiation. Does have to make a little bit of a dive, sacrifice some angle in that beginning portion of the outside zone number 1. Here they go into number 2 now. Juan all the way out there to the wall, making that transition for 3 around that inside clip. Could have been a little bit tighter to that box. Filling 6, now down into 7 with Luciano right there with him, sacrifices some angle, drops back quite a bit, but then right back into the fight for the last and final outside zone, pushing him across the finish line. And we go to our judges once more between these two. Juan and on the left, Luciano on the right. The winner goes on into the main event tomorrow. Round number 2 on this brand new layout. New version of Ruapuna Park as well, converted by Louis B. Greatly appreciate him and doing that, and then giving us permission to use it for this super fun layout. And we'll start to work on layout A and B as well, getting it onto this newer, in my opinion, much more accurate version. As we do have a decision, Luciano getting the win unanimously from all 3 of those judges, and we'll see him in the top 32 main event tomorrow.
So Luciano Canero getting that win, taking the first of 4 spots remaining. Next battle to come under the tower. Robert Kavinsky qualifying 41st. Austin Mitchell qualifying 33rd. They're both oh so close.
Unfortunately, so is it just me, or are we missing an Austin Mitchell?
Oh, there he is. It's like Beetlejuice. You say his name 3 times and he appears. Waiting to the last second. So Robert Kavinsky will slot into that chase lane. Austin Mitchell will lead out this first half of the battle. Slowly comes down that pit lane. There he is. So Austin Mitchell, the newcomer, trying to make his way into the main show. Robert Kavinsky has been doing this a while. He won't be a tough driver to break. As they wait for that light to go, there it goes, illuminating on the first half of the battle underway. Austin Mitchell out front, leading it out, initiating in. Good initiation, looking great into outer zone 1. Robert right there with him. Maybe a wall tap there as they came through outer zone 1, leaving some room on the table. Now coming through outer zone 2. Leaving quite a bit of room there and through outer zone 2, but a big touch there from Robert Kavinsky. And that's going to send him off as I'm spiking a little bit here, but I'm able to keep up with the action. Robert Kavinsky still trying to catch up from that earlier mistake. Now Austin Mitchell dropping a tire. Just a scrappy first run.
Yeah, I don't think that was you, Tanner. It looks like Austin Mitchell was having quite a bit of lag issues. Looking at the top right-hand corner where we can see our ping, mine did not change at all. And if we take a look at Robert in that chase position, he stays pretty smooth throughout this run without these stepped transitions we see from Austin Mitchell out front. I think Robert doing what he can to sort of deal with it out front, even with that contact around that inside clip. Be interesting to see which way the judges go with this. Whenever we have a driver that is lagging, the fault goes on to that person that is lagging. So we'll go back to the start, and hopefully Austin's got his connection sorted.
Well, let's hope so, as they're under the tower ready for the second half of the battle. Only one gets to move on. It's not fun when it's lagged. That's what takes you out. Robert Kavinsky now in the lead. Austin Mitchell ready to chase him down. Lights go on, and here we go. Lighting up the tires all the way down the straight, initiating in. Austin Mitchell definitely looking smoother, but into the wall goes Robert Kavinsky. And then right into it as well was the chase of Austin Mitchell. Now into outer zone 2. Things seem to have calmed down a bit as they make the transition into outer zone 3. And yeah, Austin Mitchell's connection's looking way better now as they come through outer zone 5 into 6. Austin Mitchell giving them no room to breathe. They come into that final outer zone. Onto the throttle. Robert Kavinsky trying to get out to that track edge. Couldn't make it. And Austin basically pushing him through that final outer zone.
Yeah, that might be Austin Mitchell's saving grace here. We'll take another look at it here. His connection looks a lot better, but we see Robert go a little bit too hot and into the wall, and honestly kind of saved by Austin Mitchell in that chase position, also getting into the door and the wall a little bit of Robert Kavinsky. They continue on, filling that next outside zone. Up into 6 now. Great angle. 4-7, maybe even a little too much from Robert out front, picking up throttle a little shallow in that last and final outside zone until the end. He's really pouring on a ton of angle there across that finish line. I'm not sure if the judges want to see that, as it really kind of slows up that chase and creates some contact. But we'll go to the judges. Robert on the left, Austin on the right, or will we have a one more time, being that we had some contact in both sets of those runs? Yeah, it is. It's going to be a unanimous one more time, and Austin gets a second chance at it. Honestly, great. We don't want to see that come down to a win or Robert, with Austin just having some connection issues. It does happen. We have to treat it like a sort of like a mechanical failure, right? Like we saw, unfortunately, with Reese Tatterson earlier in traditional qualifying.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nice to see that, the judges saw enough out of both runs that they were like, it was a little too scrappy. Let's see if it cleans up here in the one more time. So for the second time now in the last 8, we have a one more time battle. Austin Mitchell out front. Robert Kavinsky ready to chase him down, initiating in. Robert comes in way too hot, smokes the front end of Austin Mitchell, but he hangs onto it, stays on throttle, and they continue the run out of outer zone 1, now into outer zone 2. Austin Mitchell, well, no connection problems now. He's looking crisp and clear as they come through outer zone 5. Robert Kavinsky, though, making up for that earlier mistake and just sticking right with Austin. Now they come into that final outer zone. Austin really far inside, though. Maybe some lag on Austin's end now, as we see him just kind of get around that inside. But Austin Mitchell, kind of the show out in that run to me.
Yeah, let's take another look here. One more time battle. We had some connection issues, and then we had some contact. Oh, and then, yeah, just huge dive from Robert. Didn't quite maybe get to the angle that he wanted, and that car just surged forward like a missile into the front of Austin Mitchell's at 14. They continue on around that inside clip. Nicely done from Austin this time out front. Still smooth here. Last and final transition. Looking all right. Robert maybe playing it safe there. And there they go across that finish line.
Yeah, let's see what unfolds in the second half of this one more time. Battle, Robert Kaminsky now up front. Austin Mitchell ready to chase him down. The lights go on. One advances on. Down the straight, lighting the tires up the whole way down. Robert Kaminsky throws it into outer zone 1 off that initiation, but quickly Austin Mitchell's right there, but going into the wall goes Austin. Austin Mitchell staying right with him as they come into outer zone 2. The bobble there from the chase. He gets fakes. Were those mistakes from Robert too much in the judge's eyes? Let's see what happens after the replay.
Yeah, let's take another look here. Robert out front. Austin Mitchell giving chase. Initiating in here. Robert filling outside zone number 1, bouncing off the wall just a tiny bit there as they continue on. Austin in that chase position, staying with him through OZ2, now into 3 and falling back quite a bit from Robert, but then right back into it, leaving 5, now 6. Filling 7, last and final transition across, picking up that throttle right along that track edge. There it goes. Across that finish line, we'll go to our judges here. Robert on the left. Austin Mitchell on the right. And there it is. We do have a decision. Austin Mitchell does get the win and moves on into the top 32 main event tomorrow.
So Austin Mitchell fighting his way through. He's doing it the hard way. He decided to click hard mode today, but he makes it through. He's into the top 32 for the main competition. As we now, that finishes our left-hand side of the bracket, now into the right-hand side. Two guys who are no stranger to battling each other. One is sicker than a dog right now. Stephen Hatcher in that lead lane, and Ethan Pikachu ready to chase him down. The lights go on, and 2 spots remain now in the top 32. Stephen Hatcher initiates in. Looks good off the initiation. Ethan leaving quite a bit of room off that initiation into outer zone 1, but quickly closes that door. Big snap to angle there. Stephen dropping tire to the outside of outer zone 1 and doing the same on 2 along with Ethan. These guys are going at it as he drops more tire into outer zone 4. Stephen just trying to keep up that speed because of how quick Ethan is, but going bites him at the end, going off track into that final outer zone and having to straighten right up before the end of the course.
Yeah, unfortunate to see there. It was all going so well. Let's take another look at it. Stephen Hatcher out front the first half of their battle here. Nicely done for outside zone number 1. Ethan right there in it, almost making contact there, leaving outside zone number 1 and now into 2. Stephen burying his bumper along that wall. Ethan going a little bit wide before that second transition, and another big bobble as Stephen drops a tire for 5, now 6. Good on 7, last and final transition, just goes a little bit too deep there. And then across that finish line.
Well, back at the start line, Ethan now in the lead lane. Stephen Hatcher ready to chase him down. 1 advances on. It is all or nothing on this last 8 battle. The lights go on and off they go. Ethan to a good start here, initiates in and quick to angle. Stephen Hatcher has a big bobble there in that chase, but he gets up onto the door and gives Ethan a big tap near the end of outer zone 1 and maybe slowing down too much as another big tap happens there from Ethan. Maybe it's Stephen keeping him on track. This is something that Craig is going to have to decipher in these replays happening now. They come out of outer zone 6, now into outer zone 7, and Stephen kept right there with them, and now Ethan dropping tires. What a scrappy second battle.
Oh my goodness, let's take another look. Ethan now out front, Stephen giving chase. Fighting for a position in the top 32, big battle along that initiation from Ethan. Stephen right back into the fight, making a little bit of contact there before leaving 1. Now into 2 and a huge contact, but it's hard to tell. There is a decel zone into outside zone number 2, but it is very, very small. They'll continue on, almost some more contact along the bumper, making that transition here. I think, yeah, Ethan goes off on his own. tough to tell, but we'll go to our judges and see if we have a decision between these two. Ethan on the left, Steven on the right. And winner goes on into the top 32 main event tomorrow. Steven qualifying 35th, Ethan qualifying 43rd. Battling their way through. And almost there. Will we send him again? Well, it looks like we have a decision. It is going to be a one more time. So another clean it up, fellas.
So another one more time. We're 3 for 4 now. We'll see if the trend stays going. But a definite need from these two. I mean, both those battles were just so scrappy. I could imagine the judges pulling half of their hair out, trying to decipher a lot of what happened in there. Let's see if they clean it up here for the second half. Steven Hatcher will come back around and slot back into that lead lane. Ethan Pikachu will chase him down for the second half of the, or for the first half of this one more time battle. And only one advances on. Let's see what happens here in the one more time. The lights go on and off they go. Steven Hatcher with a good getaway. Ethan right there with him. Wow, almost going into him off of that initiation. Going into the wall a little bit was Steven Hatcher, but maybe Ethan as well as he drops some tire outside of outer zone 1. Kind of messes up there in outer zone 2, but Ethan's sticking right there with them on the door as they leave the inside clip to outer zone 4. Ethan, or Steven throwing on the angle now. Ethan keeping a good distance away as they come into this final outer zone. A bobble from Steven in the lead. Ethan puts it on the door and sticks it there to the finish.
Yeah, we'll go back to the replay again. One more time battle, the first half of it. Steven Hatcher out front. Ethan trying to throw it right onto his door and ends up there. And it looks like a little tiny tap from Ethan just before Steven gets into the wall, but they continue on like nothing ever happened. Second transition now, bumper to bumper. Ethan staying with him through that inside clip and up into 6. Steven pouring on some angle, now down across 7. Into the final zone where he does have that small little bobble when he picks up that throttle across that finish line. We're back to the start gate for the second half.
Now Ethan leading things out in the second half of this one more time battle. Steven ready to throw it down in the chase. They leave the gate and off they go. Initiating in. Ethan with a great initiation, holding it together through outer zone 1. Steven Hatcher in that chase just can't seem to find his footing as he was bobbling all over there and then pushing Ethan into outer zone 2 and sending him into the wall. Will that be Ethan's fault for maybe slowing down too much or just too much aggression here from Steven Hatcher? They switch positions and finish out whatever's remaining of this run, but I'll leave it back over to you, Craig.
And we're doing tricks. There they go, finishing it. Finishing it out. Let's take another look here. It's going to be tough. The way I saw it live, I think Steven was a little bit on the inside after that transition, similar to there in the beginning of outside zone number 1, making a surge there. Here comes the transition. Slow to rotate. It's tough. It looks like maybe a little bit of understeer was also happening in Ethan's car as well. Maybe a lot of left foot brake. It's tough to tell. Judges, they can jump right back into the replay, the in-game replay here while being in the server. Maybe they'll do so. Maybe they'll take some looks here on the live stream replays, but we'll pull up that judges graphic, play a little bit of music and wait for their decision. Ethan is on the left, Steven on the right. Tough decision for him once more, and this is the one more time battle between those. So the next battle has been told to go to the line. We should have a decision here soon, and we do. Ethan gets the win over Steven Hatcher and moves on into the top 32 main event tomorrow. We've got just one more battle to go. Cameron Mustard and Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi.
Well, Ethan taking the third out of 4 spots left in the top 32. Only one remains. 2 drivers are on track. Only one can advance on. Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi, qualifying 34th today, is now in that lead lane. Cameron Mustard, qualifying 42nd, chases him down for the first half of this battle. Let's see what unfolds here. The end of qualifying the Virtual Drift Championship. Off they go. Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi initiates in, looking good off the initiation. Cameron staying pretty far back, but then quickly closing the gap as we see him starting to add on that angle. Now leaving outer zone 1 into outer zone 2, right along the wall. But sadly, Cameron Mustard gets into it, and it kind of upsets him a little bit. Now they come through outer zone 4 and 5. Abdulrahman doing a great job out here in this C. Cameron in that Supra, kind of all over the place, but a little mistake there from our lead as they come into that final outer zone. Cameron tried to prepare for it, but it just never happened.
Yeah, we'll take a second look here. Abdulrahman out front, Cameron Mustard giving chase in the first half of our last 16 qualifying battle. Working their way through outside zone number 1. Abdulrahman nice and clean, nice and smooth. Cameron right along the bumper. Smooth into 2, but you see there Cameron get into the wall just a little bit too much, and it pulls angle out of his car. Does a good job not to hit Abdulrahman out front though. Once more, bumper to bumper into 7, now into 8, right along that door. A bobble out front from Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi. There they go across that finish line, and we're back at the start gate for the second half.
Second half is ready to go. Cameron Mustard now in the lead. Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi ready to chase him down for what could be the last battle if it doesn't go to a one more time, as the rest of the battles have here the Virtual Drift Championship round 2 at Ruapuna Park. Initiating in, Cameron Mustard, lots of angle into outer zone 1, but looking good. Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi right on the door as they leave outer zone 1, get ready to transition to outer zone 2. Cameron Mustard looking nice and solid out front, but Al-Shetwi not giving him an inch of breathing room as they come out of that the outer zone 4, dropping a tire as Cameron Mustard now into outer zone 5 and 6. Abdulrahman still doing a great job mimicking Cameron here as they come through that final outer zone. And there's Al-Shetwi right on the door of Cameron, finishing out the second half of this run.
Yeah, good final battle. Go back to the replay. Cameron leading Abdulrahman in the second half. Initiating in, good angle from Cameron. Staying on that throttle, Abdulrahman right in the pocket of the A90 Supra. Good transition as well. Staying off the wall is both of them. Down across 3 and the inside clip. Now into 7. Abdulrahman still right there, backing up a little bit for the last and final transition. Nice and smooth from Cameron, picking up that throttle on the last and final outside zone. And we go to our judges, maybe for the last and final time here today for round number 2. Cameron Mustard on the left, Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi on the right. Again, winner goes on to the main event tomorrow. 11 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. GMT. And there it is. We have a decision. It is a split call. Chris and Ed go left for Cameron Mustard. Carl goes right for Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi. But Cameron, again, majority rules, gets the win. and moves on into the top 32 main event. There is your bracket and how it played out. We've got Luciano Canero, Ethan Pitrical, Austin Mitchell, and Cameron Mustard all advancing. So the way it'll work is Austin Mitchell will slot into that 29th position in the top 32. Then we've got Luciano slotting into the 30th position. And then Cameron Mustard going into the 31st position, and Ethan Pitrical going into that 32nd position for tomorrow's top 32 main event. It's been a fun one so far here for round number 2. Cameron Tanner, how do you think tomorrow's going to play out?
I think it's going to be crazy. Just looking at how these last 16 battles were, and just the way the judges are being on certain things, it's gonna make for a great top 32, and it's not gonna be one you're gonna want to miss, because I think it's just gonna be full of anything can happen, and it ain't over till it's over. So it's gonna be a wonderful time.
Absolutely. I will check before we leave to see if we've got our top 32 bracket generated and done for. Let's see. No, not quite. We'll message our staff members and see if we can get that generated before we shut down the live stream. I do appreciate everyone tuning in today and hope you enjoyed it so far. Again, the track will release after the top 32 main event tomorrow. It is a lot of fun, really tricky. Honestly, I haven't tried it in the 5.0 cars, to be completely honest. It could be a fun one. We wait and see if we can get our top 32 generated. I won't hold everybody for too much longer, and we'll just wait and post it on our socials as the official top 32 main event bracket. Yeah, we'll indeed wait for that. Again, pay attention to our socials, specifically our Instagram. Join our Discord if you haven't already. It's at the bottom of our link tree, the little Discord icon. Just click it and it will join you right on in to our official Discord, where you can stay most up to date. Even so those track releases release first on Discord. Same with card packs, if we so happen to release a card pack. And a good way to just stay up to date on everything going on. I appreciate it once more, again, everyone tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it, and big shout out to our official sponsors, our official title sponsors, Sim Magic and Grip World, Joko Design, Horth & Mons, Geronimo just now joining us, and then Ali Yusuf as well helping us out, and all of our staff members, our 3 judges, Chris, Ed, and Carl today. Horthan in the background on the live stream. I think Dion showed up for a little while, and then of course you, Tanner, showing up each and every single round for quite some time now. It's a good time with you as always.
It's been a decade now. Let that sink in a little bit. When we came into the season, I kind of looked at it like, man, it has been a long time, but it has been a wonderful ride, and the opportunities that have come from it, and getting to meet all of the wonderful people, all of the cool fans that love this. And like, even when I've been down at SEMA, I've been spotted out there and had some wonderful chats with guys that were just into this, and they heard my voice and they knew it was me. It was crazy. So yeah, I think we're in for a wicked season. We're into round 2, and it's going to be awesome. So again, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button. I'm going to do the thing. Find us on socials, hit all of the follows, hit all of the likes, and keep up with what we're doing. If you want to get involved, join the Discord. There's always something going on, and always drivers willing to take new guys under their wings.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Tanner. And we'll end it on that note and see everyone tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. GMT, for the top 32 main event.
Not a little.